You know, the one thing that I always just wonder is that, like, when these events come out, I wonder how they're thinking of it. It's like, how are we going to preface this? Because we know this is supposed to be, like, you know, an anniversary. What are we going to do? Oh, we should do something insane, like a huge dungeon. It's like, yeah, but then what else? And then one of them was like, why don't we have Zer become a game show host? And they're like, yes! Let's do that. Because that's what it feels at that point, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it works, though. So.
It does. It works very well. But a horse? A horse? Just, like, I understand it's like a whole, like, thing is just like, okay, yeah, we have the actual setup for it. But a horse?
Yeah.
Anyway, welcome to the I think this is what, episode 7 at this point? Normally it would have been 8, but we just, like, we're so busy over on during November that we just never bothered to actually set something up. But yeah, welcome back to the HZRDCast. This time we're gonna be talking about a few things. Whether we actually have it structured, I don't know. We just kind of have a lot of stuff to talk about. So the few things is that, you know, we're gonna talk about likely the Bungie anniversary, you know, as well as like other things, and also why a company is a legitimate, just a huge company can be prone to being the biggest hypocrite ever seen. So why don't we first start off with games in general, which would be particularly Destiny 2. And so earlier this week, actually, by the time this goes up, it should be earlier this week, because it was on December 7th. And Bungie released their 30th anniversary pack, or, you know, their event, along with the Moments of Triumph. And so the Moments of Triumph is, you know, a new thing, as well as the 30th anniversary is also, like, part of it is free, the other part is not. And, you know, there's a whole controversy over that one, but that was kind of, like, established a while back, and I feel like that has somewhat died down. There may be some voices that still be like, this is bullshit, I shouldn't fucking expect it. But, again, that's, like, a whole nother thing altogether. And so both of us have gone through, and we have played through not only the Dares of Eternity, we've also have done the dungeon, as well as, you know, used and essentially laughed about how broken the Magnum is, like, compared to, you know, what we anticipated, and how amazing it is that the Gjallarhorn's back. At least I think it's amazing. It's likely that he agrees. But anyway,
I mean, the Gjallarhorn's pretty cool. I just wish the tracking was a little bit more aggressive.
Yeah, honestly, I was kind of hoping that too. But I mean, it's, you know, I
think the fact that in a season with a mod that is helping fusion rifles be insanely strong, that it's keeping up with fusion rifles for the most part, I think that's pretty crazy.
I mean, the fact that essentially it is, I think, considered the third highest damage dealing weapon as of right now, and in general would be like maybe the second or something, because again, you know, taking into account that Sleeper Simulant is just fucking broken in terms of damage output with the particle decompressor mod, is still very much insane on the fact of, like, it still is in line with how Gjallarhorn was, you know, before they sunset it back in Destiny. And, like, and this is, like, the first iteration, not the one that they came out in.
It's definitely stronger than the Rise of Iron version.
Oh, yeah.
That's
yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, the Rise of Iron one was, like, was nowhere as effective as this one, and I think that's really nice. I think it really harks back to like the original version of Gjallarhorn, if anything. Now, again, they did make some changes. To me personally, I didn't expect it to become like a whole like, oh, this should have been like the OG. It's like, it was never gonna be, especially because it is going through like I think a different setup with a different meta and all that. It wasn't ever gonna be that strong comparatively or like back to the original, even though it could have been. But the one thing that I did like about it was just the fact of like when you use the rocket, everyone who does not have Gjallarhorn but has a rocket also essentially gets the same perks, which is fucking so nice. I think honestly that is the best way to kind of like to make it unique in its own way, because if I remember correctly, Wolfpack rounds were always just exclusively for the Gjallarhorn, and it never was shared, if I remember correctly, right?
Yeah, but now it's like the Gjallarhorn buffs other rockets so that they can use it too.
Which is awesome, and I think, and again,
which brings a whole new kind of idea. I mean, I don't know if we'll ever really see people take advantage of that unless they're using like Ascendant or other things. I don't know. Like that perk's cool, but I don't know how often we'll really see that part of the perk used, considering that relies on people not using Gjallarhorn.
See,
and I imagine most people will probably have bought the pack.
I mean, likely, but again, we don't know if it's just going to be like. Did they say it's going to be exclusive only to this pack, or? Because I don't remember them ever actually really specifying. It's like, oh yeah, once this event is over, yeah, this whole thing that we're doing, that's gonna be gone. Like you can't get it anywhere else.
Toxic. It's being treated as a DLC.
That's true. Yeah. Hopefully, it doesn't get vaulted.
It'll get vaulted at some point.
It's likely what. Right now. Oh yeah, no. I think. If this is going by the regular trend, this will be available for like 2 more years. Because, when they did the first content vault, they did the Red War, what I like to call the Red War Vault, was for Beyond Light, which was 3 years ago. And then when they're doing the Witch Queen, they're going to be doing the Forsaken Vault. And so...
And even then, a good chunk of Forsaken isn't leaving.
Oh yeah, true. I mean, like, you still have the Dreaming City, you still have Last Wish. The only difference is that, Crow is hopefully gonna stick in the tower permanently. Because is the Helm still being there? I don't know if the Helm is...
Helm, I'm pretty sure the Helm is just gonna be our base of operations from now on.
I'd hope so. Because, like, the fact that, honestly, and this is something I'm really hoping, is that they expand the Helm, where, you still have your Listening Quarter, you still have the Awoken Quarter, and then they just kind of add on to it. But, again, because they're going to be removing the seasonal stuff away from it, I kind of want them to just have that be like, oh, that's their little residential area, They're just doing the repairs. They're just, chilling, relaxing type deal. And I honestly think that's kind of what I hope that they do over there with that one.
And I don't know how viable that is.
I'm again, like, this is a hope. I'm not expecting it to happen because, again, that's going to be like, if they were to do that, it is going to make the Helm most likely bigger than the actual tower in less than a year. Because thinking about it, it's like you have, everything is within a small little area right now because we only have like 2 little residential spots. I call them residential spots. That's, that's kind of where they're just chilling. But,
social area?
So, yeah, social area. That works. Social area.
Thing that has been called since the conception of them.
Shut up. Social and me do not mix. We've gone over this. So I never really think of
Social and Destiny don't mix.
Yes, that's so true. That's so true.
But that's Bungie's own fault that it doesn't.
Yeah. I mean, that's just the thing is that like Bungie is in a lot of hot water as of right now because of like a report, but at least they're kind of owning up to that. Meanwhile, we look at their original contractors for Destiny.
Well, it's less so the Activision side and more so the Blizzard side.
It's still holding Activision responsible.
Like, don't get me wrong. Like, it's still shitty. It's just,
I mean,
the Activision side was the one in charge of Bungie for the most part.
Yeah, I like that. I get, but it's still just the fact.
It is interesting to think that like what is happening recently with Activision Blizzard. Just Jesus Christ, dude.
I mean, I'm glad that
how is it that it turned out that the Blizzard side was so toxic compared to the Activision side? Like the Activision side is still toxic, but like how the fuck is it that the Blizzard side turned out so much worse than the actual greedy part of the company that absorbed them to make them greedy?
Actually, it's kind of when you really look at it, and again, this is something that like we can kind of really just like reflect on it. If I remember correctly, Blizzard was more established much earlier than Activision. If I remember correctly, because again, like the way that it is that, and I've talked about that before, like with you, but if you are an old company, and I'm saying like a well-known, sizable company that within the video game industry, you are going to have a higher chance of a toxic, hostile environment because when they first originally opened, like when they first opened their doors and they first started their company as a developer or publisher or whatever they want to go, they go under. These guidelines that like these expectations were not set there. And the thing is that these are recently coming up. These are recently things. Now, again, these should have been there in the beginning, but guess what? That was not something of a focus at that point. Because again, like you hear some of the like the testimonies and some of the like reports of from like
what disappoints me more though is just the fact that the board is standing by Bobby Kotick, dude.
It is disgusting. Honestly, it's just the fact that I feel like the only reason why they're doing it is because they know that no one else would want to take up this responsibility. There's no one that will want to touch this. Like it is at a point where it's such a big dumpster fire that if anyone leaves, they're not going to find a replacement anytime soon. And at that point,
not true whatsoever.
I mean, I don't know. But I think it is still sickening that it's like, oh yeah, we're still gonna like, think he's gonna save it.
I think Asmongold brought up a good point on that. The reason why they're not they're gonna stand by him and they're not gonna fire him or let him go is probably because his severance pay is probably at 300 million or something like that.
Oh shit! That makes.
And if they get rid of him, they'll lose a fuck ton of money. It isn't until the point where he is losing them too much money that they will cut him from the company.
That's true.
And that was I think Asmongold's most likely right in that sense.
I mean, that does sound right. Let's be real. Let's be frank about this. It's Activision. They care about money. So if they are not able to get enough, if it isn't worth the loss, then it's not worth cutting them. Now, the one thing, and I think this is something that really kind of like is actually kind of interesting when you look at it, is the fact that when we really look at this, the main thing is that it's not only in Activision. It's just, we already have people from other game publisher companies that, bringing out their testimonies. But I think the one thing is that the reason why Activision is the main focus is just how terribly they're taking care of this.
It's wild how, like, someone brought up a point. we really just need to get a counter for like how many days since the last Activision fuck up.
Buddy, that's not going to go any more than 10 days, bro, at this rate. Because every single other week you're going to hear something from Activision. Like,
it's just like to see. It's just like to see like how long they've gone without another controversy coming out, and it's like, yeah, at this point, I feel like it wouldn't last more than a day.
Honestly, like, if I had a nickel for every time Activision got into a controversy,
it's just like how many things are still missing if the breast milk thing just came out?
I still can't believe that was a thing. Why in the just why? Just why? Why? Like, I'm just like, dude, like, come on, dude. Like, how the fuck do you pull this shit off? Just like, yeah, let's just, do this. It's like, why are we doing this? Why?
I just don't understand why, dude. Like, how fucked up? I knew it was fucked up, right? Because of all the shit, but like, what the fuck? It's so weird. It's so weird to think that people are reporting on the fact that breast milk was stolen. Like, who the fuck, dude?
I mean, it's still the fact of just like, yeah, that's a thing. But do you know what's even better? Activision Blizzard is saying, like, the workers at Activision Blizzard had announced doing like an open-ended strike and sign up for unionization. Yesterday, Activision Blizzard urges employees to, and I quote, consider the consequences of unionizing. How the hell do you fuck up something worse and say shit like that? Like, maybe if the people who are making us the money want to unionize, maybe we should figure out a reason on why they're doing it and then possibly fix that. Not just,
no, here's the thing. They know the reason.
I mean, yeah.
It's not a matter of them figuring out. They know the reason. They just don't want to do anything about it.
Yeah, but it's still the fact of they're just like, yeah, let's just consider the consequences. AK, we're essentially threatening with you being booted.
Like, that doesn't surprise me, though, them doing that.
I mean, yeah, but it's still just the fact of, like, what the fuck? Why? Why are you literally digging yourself into it deep? Actually, no, that's something that we expect from Activision at this point. Let's be real. Like, I'm still baffled. I am so baffled that the coverage of Activision Blizzard is more widespread than the fucking popularity of Vanguard. God, I just love the fact that essentially, like, more people are focused on the situation of Activision Blizzard than their most recent game that they launched with COD.
Apparently people don't like the zombies in that game.
I mean, yeah, it's fucking shit. Like, I've watched some of it.
I don't know anything about it.
I'm just like, this is disgusting. I'm glad that I didn't buy this. I'm glad.
I tried so when they had a free trial, I played the free trial for the weekend just because I was like, I kind of want to try this out. Because, like, I tried the beta, didn't like it, but I'm like, maybe the full game will be different. I played it, and I'm like, it's a little better, but I still don't like it.
It's the way that I see it is that it's just not good. It's just not fun. It is.
I just think like Sledgehammer Games just doesn't know how to make a game.
I mean, you wouldn't be wrong. And also,
because like or maybe it's not that they don't know how to make a game. It's that they don't know how to make a Call of Duty. I'm wondering if like Sledgehammer could probably make a different genre of game and do that better.
No. it's just, it. The one thing that I just do not like is the fact that the whole thing of Vanguard is just crap, because literally the storyline is, hey, let's just have it be essentially like flashbacks of like what has happened, and literally just have like the actual current story only take place like twice for no more than an hour.
Isn't that basically Battlefield 1?
I don't know. I haven't touched that game either. I wouldn't be surprised if it's like that too. But it's still the fact that legit it's like there's nothing there.
Huh.
And I think the issue is for that is the fact that because there isn't anything there to report, it's just, there could have been so much better. Honestly, I feel like, again, they could have done so much better, but let's just go back to the original thing that we had before. And
meanwhile, Final Fantasy.
Oh, yeah. So why don't you talk about that, because you have been playing that ever since Endwalker came out.
Ever since Early Access started on Friday last week, yes.
Yep. So if you guys if you guys don't know, Balkir is a small, like, he's a pretty, he's a bit of a fan, just a little bit, a tiny bit. And he's gone through the whole thing.
I've gone through all of Endwalker. I do still need to do some of the endgame stuff to get my gear sets, to get my gear level up.
Mm-hmm.
But I've done all the story stuff, from what I can tell, unless there's something I missed. But as far as I can tell, I did all the story stuff. The only thing I haven't done are side quests, but those are not important, because I can use those to level up my other classes. Yeah. Endwalker, though, is the culmination of an almost 10-year story, basically. And it does so many things I did not expect, because I was expecting a lot of things to happen in this expansion. And they happened in different ways than I thought, and different conclusions happened. And I don't know, I wasn't expecting some of the things to happen that did happen. And I think in all, it's a good conclusion to what we've been kind of like going through for like for what the story has kind of been leading up to. And I'm happy that the writer that did Shadowbringers is the one who ended it all.
I feel like it's appropriate, to be honest. I mean, like, he's the one who's essentially setting up the climax to it, and then here you go.
Well, I mean, she.
My
Yoshi P is the director, but the writer is a woman.
Gotcha. All right, let me correct myself. She is the one who essentially is, again, creating this setup. I don't know why. I was thinking the director was the writer. I don't know why I got this confused, to be honest.
It's fine. It's fine. Yoshi P does get a lot of credit. I mean, without Yoshi P, the game would not be in the state it is. Let's be honest.
That's true, but I think let's be straightforward about this. Both of them, like, if either of them were not there, I doubt Final Fantasy would have been where it is, because again, you need a good direction and you need a good story to be based off of. And so I think both of them do deserve the credit where it's due. And especially when if you don't have it where it's like, oh yeah, let's just bring some other person. We don't want this chick anymore. She's the one that created this. Of course you want her to finish it off.
She's been with the game for a long time. Like, I don't know if she's been there since the beginning, but she's been there since at least Heavensward, because she wrote the Dark Knight storyline, which was introduced in Heavensward, and everyone loves it and considers it to be the best job quest line. She wrote half of Stormblood, the part that people love. She wrote all of Shadowbringers, which people love, and she wrote Endwalker.
Which, let me guess, people love.
Yeah, she was the lead writer. She was the lead writer on both Endwalker and Shadowbringers.
That I am not surprised about at all. And honestly, I think the fact that I just hit my goddamn mouse. Fuck. For something so fucking light, it still actually hurts. I don't know why. Well, but I think, it's the fact that, that she is such a prolific writer when it does come to, like, making these setups. And I think that's, a very good thing that's going through with that.
Mm-hmm.
And, kind of also saying it for, like, a segue here. I think the fact that, you not only have it where she is, like, such a good writer, she also essentially is helping foster a really nice, actual, community there. Because, again, segue time. So, apparently, I did not realize this, the Video Game Awards were on Thursday.
Oh,
What?
yeah, no, they happened, and I honestly didn't know they were happening until I got home, and I looked in my email, and I saw, the Game Awards is happening! And I'm like, wait, what?
Exactly, yeah! I'm just like, what? Wait, hold on, when did this happen? But yeah, apparently, it happened. I did not see any of it. I was so, I was just like, okay, cool, whatever. And they went through, all of this stuff. And it's just okay. And I think the one thing is that, so the whole thing is that for community support, which is something that Destiny 2 has always actually been, fairly dominant in. There's, I think, maybe one or two times where Fortnite's taken it. But it's always been something where Destiny 2 has kind of, always had that as an option because, community support was huge. But I think because of the rise of Final Fantasy 14, they won this Video Games Award for this year. Now, again, I think the one thing is that, without a good game, you can't have a good community. And, I'll hopefully stand by that the entire time. Because, let's be real, if you do not have that, there really isn't anything else that you can really kind of state.
I think Asmongold said it best. The reason why there's a difference in how the Final Fantasy XIV community treats people and the World of Warcraft community treats people is because of the way the story presents its villain.
Yep.
And what he said is that they don't always, you're not immediately going to be trying to fight or destroy the enemy. The logical thing in Final Fantasy is that you're trying to redeem the villain first before you try the last resort. And which is true. The game literally is all about, it literally teaches you that not everyone is irredeemable, that not everyone is a bad person, and that you shouldn't be toxic. It's very much a story that treats its villains very differently than World of Warcraft does.
Oh yeah, I'm not surprised by that. But, continuing on the Video Game Awards, we might as well kind of go through and kind of see exactly what the winners are. Because again, this is also something that I am looking into right now. I have not seen anything. The only thing that I cared about at that time was who won Game of the Year. And
that kind of caught me off guard when I saw who won. I mean, I'm happy because I really liked the game. We both really liked the game.
I honestly thought that they out of all of the games that were there that were being shown, I honestly was thinking that they would be the one to win it. Because
really?
Yes, because the thing is that I've heard so much more about that than any of the other games. Even though, again, you have one of them that's a beloved.
I guess that's right. Because Village Resident Evil. Because it was Deathloop. It Takes Two, Metroid Dread, Psychonauts 2, the new Ratchet and Clank game, and then Resident Evil Village.
Yep.
Now, to be fair about Village was received kind of mixed. You either liked it or you didn't, and that was kind of a weird situation with Village. Because I think, personally, it's mostly a good game until you get to the factory part where everything just kind of becomes a completely different game.
I mean, I've yet to go through it. Like, I'm planning on going through it within, either, at the end of this month, well, technically at the end of the year, or early next year.
Uh-huh.
Because I have gone through Resident Evil 7, and I greatly enjoyed that.
I think the problem with Village can easily be described as the same problem with the Resident Evil 3 remake.
I have not seen the Resident Evil 3 remake, so...
Okay, so I'll explain it.
Mm-hmm.
Why is it that the giant hulking enemy that's tracking us down in 3, Nemesis, and in Village, Lady Dimitrescu, in so little of the game? Why is one of the most interesting parts of the game, and I'm not talking about because Lady Dimitrescu is attractive or whatever. I'm saying it legitimately because she is one of the most fascinating parts of the game, story-wise and lore-wise. Why is she in so little of it?
I think that the one.
And why is the factory part in Village so drastically different from everything else we do in the game, to the point where it feels like I'm in a completely different game?
Yeah. I don't really know. Again, I have not played this. I have not experienced this. So again, I'll give my thoughts on it, later on when I do play it. But again, I think this has to do with marketing as well. This is something that, companies need to freaking understand if they want to actually have a good opportunity of actually providing that, providing a good expectation for, or saying a good expectation. Mm-hmm. For example, let's look at Black Widow. We see Black Widow's trailers, and you're thinking, oh, this might be intense with, a little bit of comedic style here and there, but it's still going to be something very dramatic, very intense, and something where it's okay, this is going to get really, really interesting, and we're going to see the origins. It's watching it, you don't get that at all. All the action scenes are in the trailers. What the fuck, man? Again, I'm not saying it's a bad movie. It is a really good movie. Definitely go watch it. Just don't have any expectations from the trailers. Just throw them all out the window. It's a very good movie to watch if you take the trailers with a grain of salt.
I think,
because if you rely on the expectation that was set within the trailers, you will be greatly disappointed.
I think that's the problem with Village, right? Because Village kind of set it up as if Lady Dimitrescu was going to be a huge part of it.
Yeah, that's always the thing. And again, that's something that trailers
I think that's the difference between Village and 7. Village advertises Dimitrescu, but 7 advertises the entire Baker family.
Yes, and honestly, the way that they actually did that was completely different from what I anticipated, because I thought, we'll get a few action set pieces and it'll be just these little small moments. When I was playing through it, holy shit, it was intense the entire time. The only time that I ever felt that I was good or I was relaxed is after I beat beat that section and can go back willy-nilly, Because I know that, the big bad person is not there anymore because, what I did. And so it's it's that fact of the matter. And again, even with that, there's always still that chance of like, oh, there's still enemies there that you can still go after. Like, they can still take you down. Like, unless you discover the entire house, any undiscovered location can still have an enemy. Yeah. So it's like the way that they marketed Resident Evil 7 when it first came out was perfect. Not only with the demo essentially being akin to PT, it also gave the trailers themselves gave that hint that's like, this is a family matter. You're gonna be dealing with all these people. Like, that's going to happen. You're gonna figure this out. Like, you'll see why, but it is gonna take you off guard. Like, when I kind of saw the end of it, I was taken off guard for it. I'll admit, because I didn't realize. I mean, like, can I even say spoilers? Like, how old is the game?
I mean, I've beaten it, so it doesn't matter.
Well, I mean, also, yeah, it's like, what, few years at this point? I think it's a, 2017 game?
Plus, I feel like people should probably be going into the podcast expecting spoilers.
That's true. But I feel like, and again, I think we can establish a really good set rule right here and right now. If it has come out more than a year ago as of recording it, it's valid for spoilers. So anything from 2020, valid for spoilers. And so, anyway, back to what I was saying, is like, when you see essentially like, oh yeah, this is all done by Raccoon City. Like, this is not Raccoon City, but this is all done by Umbrella Corps. And, Chris is there and just like, yeah, we're going to save your ass. Here's like a really fucking OP gun. And it's just like, and they talk to them where it's like, oh, it took you long enough. And you have that feeling. It's like, wait, were both of these people essentially part of the fucking Umbrella Corporation the entire time? And
what? Oh, are you talking about the Blue Umbrella?
Yeah.
Blue Umbrella is a different organization than the one that was doing the experiments. That was still Red Umbrella.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, because that whole thing was like a different thing entirely.
Okay, yeah, because I was like looking at this, I was like, hold up, wait, these guys were part of that? Like, the fuck?
Now there's a huge twist in Village that I won't talk about regarding the company that Chris used to work with in Resident Evil 6, the BSAA.
Oh shit!
And when that twist came about, it was like, oh my fucking god, are you serious?
Yeah. But I think like, it's the fact that like, they need to like, if you want to actually advertise it, make sure that you're advertising with the expectation of what to expect. Like, I would not be surprised that if Black Widow was advertised to be like a family-friendly movie type deal, even though there may not have been that much of a response, it would have likely have been a better response than what it had now. Again, it's still a good movie. Just don't go off of the trailers. It's not a good idea.
Yeah,
but anyway,
basically.
moving along through like the video game awards. When I actually looked into these, like, because like I'm looking at best game direction, it's saying it's like Deathloop was the winner. I realized how little of the recent games I've played.
Well, so Deathloop, I had heard a lot about because I followed Paul.
Who is
right? Paul Tassi.
Oh yeah, Tassi. When you say Paul, I'm like, wait, there's a lot of Pauls.
I mean, fair enough. I follow Paul Tassi, right? And like he covered that game quite a bit, and it seemed like an interesting game. So I'm not surprised that it got game direction, and I'm not surprised that it got nominated for Game of the Year. What I am surprised about, because I heard absolutely nothing about it was Psychonauts 2. I didn't even know the game had come out.
Yeah, I like the issue is that I think like because the way that Psychonauts is
All these other games I knew had come out because I bought Metroid Dread. I played It Takes Two. I've played some of Metroid Dread, not all of it, but a good chunk of it.
yeah.
I've seen people playing Deathloop. I knew Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart came out because I wanted to buy it, but I didn't have a PS5 at the time. Resident Evil Village, I watched people play that. Like I know all these games, but Psychonauts 2 was never. I had absolutely no clue that it had come out.
So the funny part is that Psychonauts 2 was, I think, if I remember correctly, it was actually a well positively reviewed game. But let me actually double check that.
Well, it has to have been positively reviewed if it was if nominated for Game of the Year.
So the thing is that it was primarily a lot of it was just like a lot of the positive parts of it.
Something, yeah,
was the fact that it was all generated by the original fans of Psychonauts. Because the one thing is that, you know, when you look at Psychonauts itself, if you have never heard of the original Psychonauts or never played it, I doubt you would have ever cared or would have ever noticed that Psychonauts 2 came out. Because of the way that it was that was set up, is that because if I remember correctly, the original Psychonauts came out like 30 years ago, if I remember correctly. Let me actually check this. No, sorry, my bad. It came out 16 years ago. Still a while, though. It's still a long time. And so they did announce that there was going to be, they announced it at E3 earlier this year, that it was going to be, released on, in August.
Mm-hmm.
And that, and it did very well. I mean, it went gold on August 6th. So actually, hold on. Let me actually get you the right date. Yeah, so it's August 25th, and it was considered it's gone gold, meaning that it's done very well in terms of the system itself. And so the funny thing is that, again, the reason why this was so well loved but not really known is that, if I remember correctly, if I remember correctly, this was never intended to come out, but I think it was based off of some crowdfunder, crowdfunding. Hold on, let me check here. Yeah, okay. So funny enough, at the 2015 Game Awards, Schafer announced Double Fine's plans to work on Psychonauts 2 using a crowdfunding campaign through Fig, which is a crowdfunding site. And so they saw it, they thought it would take, 3.3 million. And that was taken care of super quickly. It hit it with a month with 5 days left. So within essentially a little over a month, it was able to hit the up to $3.8 million.
Okay.
So that one thing is it does show that it is something that was set up. Now, over it took some time. It took up to 4 years in this case, 6 years actually. My apologies. But again, there was that delay, and and then it came out. But again, because of the fact that it was crowdfunded, it's primarily because there's a lot of people that had that stake in there, old fans. I wouldn't be surprised if it was done very it was highly rated because of that, but it was just the fact that no one really heard of it. Because I don't believe that they did much public advertising. I think I only saw one trailer and that was it. Like, I'm not sure if there was anything else that I saw, but yeah, I wasn't able to see anything for that. But it did win Xbox Game of the Year at the Golden Joystick Awards.
Yes, it did.
Yep. And the lowest score that it ever got was an 8 out of 10 from Destructoid. So, again...
I mean, there are things that surprised me in terms of what won. Like, I didn't realize that Guardians of the Galaxy had been nominated for Best Narrative.
That one's actually kind of surprising to me as
that
well.
comes as surprising if you haven't played it.
Yeah.
But because I've played it and I've completed it, I can definitely say it's a fantastic narrative. It is a fantastic story. I don't know anything about Deathloop or Psychonauts 2's story. I'm going to bet Life is Strange True Colors is probably garbage because all of them have been fucking garbage.
I mean, I still can't believe legitimately it's let your friend die in a bathroom stall or fucking leave with her because of an aftermath of a super tornado.
No, but like, okay,
town.
I hate the original Life is Strange because
that was so funny.
Chloe's a fucking asshole.
I literally everyone in that was a fucking I did not like anyone from the shit that I watched. I did not like anyone. I think the only one that I liked them the most, and I would say it wasn't even it was I appreciate what they're doing. I kind of understand. Was I think her name was Alex? No, not what was the person? It wasn't the what? No, it wasn't the blue hair girl. It was
I don't know the main character.
Yeah, the main character.
Max?
Oh, Max. That was I don't know why I thought it was okay, sure. I mean, I guess. I still didn't like the person. I felt like there was so much they could have done so much better, but they didn't. And I'm just like, what the fuck is this? Again, that was the Life is Strange. I don't know. It was a cool idea. Let's be real. It was
It's a cool concept, but the problem is that when your characters are unlikable. I don't know why people like Chloe when Chloe is literally being abusive towards Max, and then people are like, "Oh, well, it's because she was abusive."
That doesn't justify it.
That doesn't make it okay. That doesn't make this a good writing. What the fuck?
That's saying oh,
Chloe straight up points a gun at us at one point.
I know, right? It's just what the fuck? Here's the thing. Here's the whole thing, and I don't think people understand this. Is that when they people will say the ends the ends justify the means, or the reason that it is there justifies the action. There was nothing justifiable in there. There was no reason for that.
And there is a scene that perfectly describes why I don't like Chloe, because it's the start of why I don't like Chloe. And it is the scene when you are in Chloe's room for the very first time, and you have to hide from her father. Now, learn if you do all the different options, you learn a fuck ton of shit about both Chloe and her father. Now, first, her father is very clearly not a good person. That's not in debate.
I think everyone wanted to be shot.
If you don't go get out of the closet to help Chloe, she gives you shit for it.
Yeah. But if you do, you still get shit for it, but this time from both people.
Yes!
It doesn't make sense.
And it's just I don't know how you expect me to like this character if she's gonna give me shit for helping her and not helping her. I'm sorry, but family issue. She is the one who asked me to fucking hide, and now because I didn't come out to help her.
Oh. It's why are you getting pissy at me when I did exactly what you said?
Why am I getting shit for doing what you told me to do?
Why am I getting all the hate? If you don't get the reference, don't worry, it's a very old one.
I genuinely just don't understand how the game expects me to like it for. Oh, by the way, another scene I fucking hate is when she gets stuck in the train tracks. Let me be real fucking honest about this. This is the dumbest thing ever. Take off your fucking shoe, you moron!
I was like, when I saw that, I was just like, yo, big plot hole? Just saying. Shoelaces, they exist. It's right there. Pull and leave. Like, that was it. That's all you had to do. But no, we had to make this intense thing. Like, what? Like, look, there must have been
also,
somebody...
Another point that bothers me is that, like, the game tries to guilt you into liking Chloe because of the fact that Max kind of cut her off. And I'm gonna be real fucking honest. Crazy concept, ladies and gentlemen. Crazy fucking concept. But if you move apart, you don't have to keep up with your old friends if you don't want to. If you want to just not talk to them anymore, or if something happens and you're unable to, you can do that perfectly fine. And it won't be a problem. If the other person makes it a problem, boo fucking who for them.
I know. It's like, oh, he cut me off. It's like, well, there's likely a valid fucking reason for that, dude. Like, that's essentially it.
Like, I am not required to keep up with a person that I am no longer able to, like, be in direct contact with.
And I think a lot of people, I still find it fucking hilarious, where it's just like, oh, but I still think this is the dumbest fucking thing of just like the ultimatum, you know, the final part. Like, I think it was like the final episode or some shit like that, or whatever the fuck they called it.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, essentially, if I rewind all the way to the beginning before Chloe was shot, maybe this saves a fucking tornado from destroying the entire town.
I never understood that, because, like, we never, as far as I can remember, we never get actual confirmation that, like, Chloe being alive is the reason the thing is going to happen. For all we know, that thing could still happen if Chloe's alive, dead.
Like, I understand that they're trying to toss in the chaos theory, like, yeah, sure, whatever the fuck. But legitimately,
but we never get any confirmation that chaos theory is actually happening, though. That's the problem.
Exactly. It's just like, oh yeah, you can rewind time, and it looks like nothing fucking changes. Oh my god. Like, you don't see anything happen. Like, oh, you're in an interaction. Oh, you said the wrong thing. Rewind time. You say the same thing.
I'm gonna be real honest. Their whole twist with the teacher being the bad guy. Wow, how obvious was that, right?
I honestly completely forgot about that fact because
you remember about what the professor was doing? I'll be real honest. They tried to hide it by having like Nathan Prescott be like this like super jerk. I'm just like, it's so obvious. It's the fucking teacher.
Like, that was a shitty red herring. Yeah.
Which is why at the end of at the end of the second, I think the second is where you could accuse them. Is where it is, and it ends off on that cliffhanger. I fucking accused him.
It's like, oh wow, what a
shot. It was like, there's no way it's Nathan. No. Nathan's a piece of shit. But I refuse to believe he's that stupid.
Is he that moronic? Maybe. No. You literally made it very fucking obvious that it's not him. But I think overall. Long story short, Square Enix, please do not make any more Life is Strange. Just do not. It is not.
It's not even Square Enix that makes it. It's a company that's under them. They just approve it.
Stop approving shit. There's a reason why only Final Fantasy isn't Square Enix responsible for Final Fantasy.
Yes, Square Enix directly is responsible for Final Fantasy.
Yeah, stick with that.
The same goes for Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah, just like stick with those two. You don't need anything else. You already can make millions off of those two IPs right there and there. Do not try and be creative. Or no, do not allow your teams to be more creative than they can be. Being woke and shit. That shit's just terrible.
I just the concept of Life is Strange is great, but the actual like execution is just I don't know why you expect me to care for Chloe. And then the game tries to make it seem like her best friend, whose name I cannot remember, Max's best friend, is like a creep and is a bad guy. But I'm like, how? How is this guy a creep? Everything he's doing
seems rational.
is something saying not only rational, but it's something a friend would do.
It's like, oh, he's creepy. It's like, bitch, this fucking dude, like, this person's, like, keeping your ass safe. What the fuck do you mean?
And it's wild to me that back during the episodes coming out, there were theories that he was the bad guy.
Oh my fucking god. I still love the fact that essentially we're talking about the video game awards from Bungie, and now we're just going on
the thing is, right? When I see Life is Strange, True Colors is nominated for Best Narrative, it pisses me off because I know for a fact that if I were to play it, I would probably find that it's garbage.
I wouldn't be surprised either. Oh my god.
Because as far as I'm aware, Life is Strange 2 got even worse reviews than the first one. As far as I'm aware, the first one has positive reviews.
Wait, how?
But the second game, because people somehow like it. I don't know why.
Oh,
but the second game, as far as I'm aware, has mixed reviews. If I remember correctly, I need to check that again. I think it was when it first came out that it got mixed reviews.
Okay, so
but I'm not sure how it is now.
So
but I remember going into that thing when the first episode of Life is Strange 2 came out, and there was just a bunch of negative reviews, and I was like,
wait, what the fuck?
Shit.
This is news to me. This is the 5th installment. What the fuck?
Yeah, this is the 5th installment, because you had Life is Strange, and then you had Life is Strange Before the Storm, and you had Life is Strange 2, and you have the Life is Strange spin-off, the captain thing,
Wait,
and then you have Life is Strange True Colors.
What? Yeah, no, please. Square Enix, do not let Deck 9 or Not Entertainment make another Life is Strange. Literally, no. Oh, the series has spawned a multimedia franchise. I don't think a lot of people would like it, though. Because, like, hold on, let us see what the reviews say. Let us really look into seeing what the reviews say. Okay, so let's see. What is Life is Strange? Oh, around an average of an 80. Life is Strange Before the Storm. Let's see here. Around a low 80. The Awesome Adventures of Captain Spirit. Never heard of that one. Mid 70s.
Actually, that was revealed at an E3, and everyone was kind of cringing when it was on.
Oh, I don't remember that. We'll keep it that way.
that's probably because it wasn't a good reveal. It was like, what the fuck are we watching?
And then
no one knew it was Life is Strange until the title came up, and it was like, oh, okay.
And then here's the thing. Here's also another thing. Life is Strange 2. Low 80s, high 70s. Strange Colors. They got a fucking 95. What the fuck? Huh?
I mean, True Colors might genuinely be good, but I don't know.
I mean, it's still a low 80s.
I know. The problem with Before the Storm is that it's about Rachel, and I'll be real honest, I don't give a damn about Rachel.
Oh, is that the bitch that was like all whiny and shit?
Yeah. No, Rachel is the one who was like, Rachel is the one who Chloe used to be friends with, and then like she disappeared or something. And she's the one she's looking for in the first game.
Oh. Yeah, I don't know who that is.
Yeah, I'm not surprised about that.
Oh, God. Again, why? The fact that they got nominated is just hilarious. I'm glad they didn't win anything.
It might be, if it has a 95, it might be possible that it's good, actually.
I mean,
I don't know. I genuinely don't know. Because I saw very little marketing for True Colors.
Yeah, same. I never knew that was a thing until now.
Oh, I knew it was a thing because I remember when it was revealed, but I don't remember anything after it was revealed, though.
All right, so let us look at what else was there within that, because with
Best Narrative?
Well, past the best narrative, because let's be real, if we go further on with the best narrative,
but I'm gonna be real honest about best narrative though. I'm happy. I feel like out of the ones that I feel like the ones that had the real capability of winning is like Guardians and It Takes Two. I'm glad that Guardians is the one that won because Guardians was really good.
The fact that Guardians won is not as surprising when you really look at the different options. Like Deathloop, I mean, if you look at the preface of it and kind of get an understanding of it, like it's cool, but it's like, I'm not gonna be really that interested in it.
I think it's funny about Guardian. Okay, so can I talk about a little bit of controversy with Guardians?
Oh God, what controversy?
So it's not nothing too bad. It's just the fucking fan base of Eidos, right? Montreal.
Oh,
you know how Eidos makes the Deus Ex games?
Yeah.
When Guardians came out, oh my god, there was a lot of those fucking Deus Ex fans in the community hub, in the Steam community hub, just flaming anyone who bought the game, blaming the game in general, because they're like, we could have gotten another Deus Ex game. And I'm like, shut the fuck up. Just shut the fuck up and let the company make a different game for fucking once. Jesus Christ.
Honestly, I mean, granted, Eidos is good. I'm saying good because they were great in the beginning. The later games of Deus Ex were good. I'm not gonna say that they're like, oh, you must play it, but I'm not gonna say that it's a shit game because honestly, it's still pretty entertaining. Not gonna take that away from you. But the fact that people are like diehard, like engrossed in it is just kind of like to me. Like here, like the one thing is that I hate when companies are just kind of specifically like slated for a particular game. Like the only time where I will find that like appropriate is if it is based maybe like, let's say, you know, that the game is just like considered a masterpiece and literally no one can really give you a specific reason on why it's like it is a bad game other than just saying, oh, it's too popular. Like, for example, Bungie, first thing you think of likely would have been Halo if you never heard of the Destiny 2 franchise. Now it's going to be the Destiny franchise. But you will still understand that it's Halo. And like you hear Infinity Ward, COD, even though they have made other games. They have. I think. I don't know. Ravensoft, they kind of COD. Treyarch, COD. Activision, COD, even though they made like a ton of actual really good games. Xbox, that's kind of where you kind of get into that whole thing. But if you say like, you know, 343, Halo, all that stuff. But the thing is that if they're like people who are like super diehard about it, it's not surprising if they come out with another game, it will be like it will in the beginning become like extremely downvoted. Because that's what does happen, is that they will get...
I don't know, it's wild to me because it's like these people were shitting on it before it even came out. And when it came out and it had positive reviews, they were still shitting on it.
Well, because here's the one thing.
And they're like, oh, well, it's Marvel, so it's gonna suck. And I'm like,
I mean...
shut the fuck up!
I mean, to be fair, Marvel games have not been that good up until recently. So... even though, yes, take it as a grain of salt, there is some sort of basis behind that. Again, take it with a grain of salt, but...
okay, but if their idea is that this company can, like, make really good games, then wouldn't it be possible that the Guardians game would be good under this company?
I mean, the issue is that it's like... they're, you know, we can look at, what was it? Was it Arkham Studios? I'm trying to remember who made the Arkham series.
Rocksteady?
Yeah. The, like, Rocksteady, like, a lot of the time, like, they'll make a really good game. But then, you know, and also, funny enough, guess who published it? Eidos Interactive. Along with Warner Brothers, the game division, but still, you know, they still had like a play in there. But you look at it and you look at like all the different like things, even though it is such a highly recommended game, and like the Arkham series is seen fairly well. I mean, primarily Arkham Asylum, City, and Knight, the main three. And likely, next year when Suicide Squad comes out, that's also going to play into it as well. There's always going to be a point where a shit game will come out. Because not everything is going to be coming, they're not...
I feel like that'll be Gotham Knight.
I mean, honestly, I was thinking of Arkham Origins, because that did not do well.
Okay, I'm going to be real honest about Arkham Origins. Because I have a different opinion. And I feel like if people were to go back and play it, they would probably have a different opinion too. Mm-hmm. Arkham Origins is not a bad game. It's actually a really fun game with a fairly good story. I mean, the reason why it got so much flack was because it didn't have the same voice actors, and because it didn't really do anything to evolve the game in terms of like what they could do with it. On top of that, it was very buggy on release. You take all those three things away, it is a very fun and solid game in that franchise.
I mean, I wouldn't deny that. It's likely that, if like once I go through like the actual Arkham series, granted, I only did get the main three. If Arkham...
I would recommend getting Origins, because Origins, in my opinion, is a good game. It's fun. It's like has a good story. I think it does make a mistake in how it advertised itself like other games. Origins made the mistake of advertising that it was a game where Black Mask would be the main villain. And Black Mask is in the game. But he is not the main villain.
How much would
he is not...
Knowing Arkham, I wouldn't be surprised if it's Joker. Because
I will not tell you who it is. I will let you speculate. I mean, technically, it's not really a spoiler since they're really bad at hiding it. But it's just when you get to that, when you play Origins, you'll understand what I mean when I say that it is a good game. It has a good story, and it's a lot of fun. It's just the problem is that it didn't innovate on anything. It didn't. It had a lot of bugs on release, and it kind of had that issue with the marketing thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so, if you take all those things away, it is very much just a fun and good game. I feel like Origins just gets shit for like all the wrong reasons. To be honest,
I mean. Again, like, it's, again, like, hopefully, also, I wonder if the PC port's good, because I hope it does.
I don't know.
I mean, the good thing is...
Because I played the 360 version. I own the PC version.
So.
I own the PC version because of the fact that, like, I bought it when the Arkham Collection was on sale. But I have not tried the Origins PC version, so I cannot tell you how that runs. I would not be surprised if it's shit because of how shit the Arkham Knight version was.
Yeah. I'm not surprised by that. But I think, so, the one thing is that, going away from that and kind of going into, like, the other stuff itself, is that, because you brought that up, I was thinking of Cyberpunk as well. Because legitimately, it's just how buggy it is.
I'll finally be able to play Cyberpunk at a decent rate now that I have a PS5.
Yeah, like how buggy it is, how fucking unoptimized it is for any early gen console. If you play it on an Xbox One X, on a Series X, PS5, or a high-end PC, you're going to notice that there's some criticism that's justified, but a lot of it is just going to be based solely off of bugs, and they have improved that. And again, this is coming from me who played it in the beginning when it first launched, day one. I played through that, and I loved it. I love Cyberpunk 2077. And again, you know, looking into everything about it, as of right now, I would have given it about a 7.5 out of 10, because again, there's still a lot of shit that they have not finished properly. There's still a lot of bugs in there. There's still a lot of glitches in there. They still have so much shit. The fact that this came out on 2020 is a fucking insult to whatever the fuck that, you know, that CD Projekt Red was thinking of doing. Because again,
can you imagine how bad it would have been had Halo Infinite also released in the state it probably was back then?
I would bet you that Xbox
can you imagine how much fucking garbage articles would have come out if both Cyberpunk and Infinite had released near each other and both of them were badly optimized and badly made? So
here's the kicker about it, is that Infinite was the make or break for 343. I can guarantee you that was the make or break, because the fact that Guardians was so poorly received compared to the other, you know, compared to Halo 4. Granted, there was a lot, it was still positive, but the story aspect of it was not seen in a good light. And
yeah,
it's 100% justifiable. Like, legitimately, I was very disappointed in that story, because they added in so many dope-ass characters, with all of them as complex as a fucking piece of paper that is yet to be written on. You have Osiris.
It's a combination of that. It's a combination of that, right? And then there being no real continuity in how the Spartans fight. So the very first fight, we've talked about this numerous times. The very first fight we see in this game, in Halo 5, is Team Osiris moving down to tackle a force of the Covenant, to save Halsey. And the very first thing we see of them is them going super fast paced through all these different enemies and just absolutely destroying them. And then,
if I remember correctly,
we get to the Master Chief versus Locke fight, and it is ridiculously slow in a way I just couldn't believe.
I'm gonna be completely honest. I completely disregard that fight, because the thing was, and the thing about it is that I feel like they went more realistic on that fight. They leaned so much more into realism than they should have, because, understandably so, these guys are super soldiers, but if I remember correctly, lore-wise, those suits are heavy as fuck. Super fucking heavy. And
so it doesn't matter, because we've seen Master Chief move.
Oh yeah, no. Again,
we know Spartans can move fast with that heavy armor.
Again, they relied so much on realism on that point, where it's every hit was slow but heavy. And it's just come on, dude. We just saw you fucking going over essentially oaths called elites. Which, by the way, I heard in Infinite, they changed the dynamics of it, and the elites are so much better. I've heard that, and I'm just I am very happy. I'm very happy.
I mean, I've heard good things about Infinite. I've seen things about Infinite where I'm oh, that's really cool. Holy hell, I don't understand what happened with Halo 5. Oh, you know what? No, I know what happened with Halo 5's story. It was written by a comic book writer.
That's so
who has never worked on a game before.
That is so true. It did really feel... Funny enough that I brought up the fact that they're all one, literally the development and complexity of a piece of paper. But I think here's the one thing, though. I think that the way that you should always have it is never have, and again, I'm not insulting comic book writers. I'm not going to insult those people because, again, what they do is very good. However, the medium that they have is unique and different from other mediums. I wouldn't be surprised if you had a story-driven person, like the lead writer, be someone who writes stories, like an actual like literary author type deal. Like, sure, it's likely that a lot of that stuff is going to be like way too detailed, but I feel like, again, when you really apply that and put it into into actual imagery, a lot of that like filler is going to be shown up as details.
I think another big problem was the fact that the main boss in the game, whose name I cannot remember,
he's not Archon Prime is not rememberable at all. I'm going to tell you right now, the only reason
it's not even that. It's the fact that like when you only have one boss in the game, that it's fine having only one boss, but when that boss appears in nearly every single level.
Oh, yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. It's not worth the actual thing of considering him a boss. All it is just, yes, I see. We're at the end of the level.
You know what that reminds me of? You know what that makes me think of?
Every single wave game.
And this will make sense to Final Fantasy players. Imagine if in Shadowbringers, your main antagonist, Emmett Selk, appeared to fight you every time you opened up a new part of the map in a zone. And you beat his ass every time. None of the fucking shit that he does in that game would be impactful. None of the shit he does in that expansion would be impactful. Because you've beaten his ass so many times that you're wondering if he's even actually worth fighting.
So the funny thing that you actually bring that up, because the way that I saw it as is that, you know how in Destiny, right? You always have a strike boss at the end of the level?
Yeah.
That was that motherfucker. That was it. He was not noticeable. It wasn't like, it was the end of a raid type deal where the final boss is like the final encounter.
I think another hypothetical that would work was, imagine if you had a strike boss, right, in Destiny.
That appeared in every single encounter.
That appeared in every single encounter. Like, imagine you were doing Devil's Lair and you had to fight the exact same servitor every time in every single encounter.
Oh, wait, I just realized something. We can actually make a really good comparison. What if Disgrace was just the entire campaign? Because guess what? You fight her literally in like half of the locations. And then you kill her at the end. Like that's
that's the
one where the hive wizard.
Well, that was fine because she only appears in like 2 locations.
Well, yeah, but that's out of the 4 locations.
Well, yeah, but the first time she appears in the location before the boss fight, she's there to just kind of like make you aware that you're approaching the boss fight.
I mean, true.
She's really just there to like be an intimidation tactic and as part of the story.
Yeah.
This is not the first time Destiny has done that. The first time Destiny did that was, I think, in. Well, I guess Omnigul would have been the first time they did that. Yeah. The second time they did that would have been in a raid. And you may be thinking, what raid are you talking about? I'm talking about the Wrath of the Machine, I think it's called, if I remember correctly.
For which one?
Rise of Iron.
Wrath. Yep. One of the best mechanical.
So what I'm talking about is the very first boss you fight. You don't kill him, and he kind of just disappears. And then when you get to the actual encounter, that's where you kill him. It's not the first time, but I wouldn't really consider that the same because it's less about like making an enemy seem worthless and more about like kind of giving you a taste or an idea of this boss. Versus Halo 5, where it's like, hey, here's the full boss fight. Now, next time you fight him, there's going to be 2 of him. And the next time you fight him, there's going to be 3 of him. And the next time you fight him, there's going to be 4, and then 5, and then 6, and then 12.
And then all of them get just demoted by a goddamn piece of robot tech of a ghost.
Which, by the way, the final fight where there's like 12 of them, you can skip over. I know this because I literally was just so tired of the fight that I was like, "Fuck this
shit, I'm out."
No, because I was like, I know I can skip this because I've done it in to do a speed run of the level. So I was like, "Fuck it, I'm just gonna skip it because I can't be bothered to do this on legendary difficulty." And so I beat the legendary difficulty without killing him. Which should really tell you something. If a player doesn't find your boss fight engaging enough on the hardest difficulty, that they just go ahead and use a bug in the game to skip it, that should really tell you how boring the boss is.
Yeah. It's oh god. Man, I feel like in this case we shouldn't even like name this as HZRDCast. We should just name this as Rantcast. But I mean, in reality, it's like you're not wrong. Like every single point is valid. Like, you know, we shouldn't be essentially trivializing essentially a boss that, you know, is supposed to be like this huge thing where it becomes like, you know, consistently. Like, here's the thing. And I think the way, if you want to do that, do it the way that Doom does it. Because what happens is that in Doom, we can also go over Doom Eternal. I think Doom Eternal does it much better, in my opinion. Is that Doom Eternal will introduce like huge, like very intense boss fights, just to kind of get you used to it and get you understanding, like, okay, this is what you have to do. You have to, like, you know, go through the mechanics, and it's a sizable thing. But then later on, they become part of it. Like, they become part of the mobs that you kill. And so, like, a lot of people would make, like, you know, if they did it the same way, but they don't. Because the one thing that Doom Eternal does differently than what the Halo 5 did is that they never focused it on that particular character. He's there as just an added challenge. In reality, you're the fucking Doomslayer. Literally, all of these fucking things is literally your day job.
I've been trying to remember what his name was this entire time. It's Warden Eternal.
So who the fuck did I call?
I don't know. What was the name you were saying?
I said like Archon Prime, I think. I don't even know who the fuck that is. What the fuck? Who is that?
Why? Wait, okay, hold up. First off, that's the final boss in Wrath of the Machine.
That's what I was thinking of it. Ah, that's funny. You know it's memorable when you think someone... That's funny. I was like wondering, it's like, how the fuck am I remembering this? Like, what the fuck is going on? Why am I remembering Archon Prime? And then when you brought it up, I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. That is the final boss.
But the Warden Eternal is just like, Warden Eternal is a good concept. The idea that like you can never really beat him. But the problem is that when you give me a boss fight with him in 70% of the fucking game, I don't know what to think about him because I'm kicking his ass with no issue, and all of a sudden any potential threat he poses is lost because even though he can create multiple copies of him, I'm here kicking the ass of a man who can split himself into 6 to try and beat us.
Honestly, like, it's just like I feel like we can go on and on about just like how bad Halo 5 was in terms of the story. Like, for me, the biggest disappointment was the fact that they introduced Fireteam Osiris and Blue Team and did nothing with that other than here's another perspective, which is
As
far too
someone
much.
who has read some of the books, I was excited for Blue Team because I was like, "Holy shit,
Same!
we're gonna get Chase Scene back, and we're gonna get Buck back." And I'm like, "Okay, cool."
Exactly!
And then Buck is really just there for comedic relief, while Blue Team is purely there for the co-op aspect, and so is the rest of Osiris.
So the thing is that my main issue with it is the fact of not only that essentially they have no story, but the only piece of some complexity is the fact that Buck says when they get the order of their hunting down the Master Chief to bring him in, is essentially akin to we're going to be considered we are going to be the most hated people within the solar system, or something
which we never really see.
And we don't see that exactly. It's just okay, it happens.
And you know why we don't see that? It's because they never planned to show us it. Because the only reason that line is in the game
was just for the trailer.
Exactly.
Literally, that's what I fucking hate, is the shit that they do like that. It's because when they brought that up, I'm like, oh, we are going to see so much more interesting stuff, and then we're going to see a different dynamic of Buck, especially because he's played by the intended character, the person that they were supposed to act, because again, in reality, Buck was created in the likeness of Nathan Fillion.
Yep.
Because they were hoping to bring Nathan Fillion along. And so, when they brought him in, and they actually brought in Nathan Fillion, I'm just like, holy shit, this is going to be insane. We're actually going to get, a really, really cool thing. Because, again, if you don't follow Nathan Fillion's career, which you should, he's amazing in Firefly. He's freaking funny as fuck in Castle. And, right now, he's his show, Rookie, is really good. And again, one of the few people that I'll actually fanboy over, I shit you not, it's him, James Spader, and then I would say maybe Henry Cavill, but not for the aspects of, oh, he's Superman, but more of the aspects of, oh, he's a nerd. And so those are the main three people that I would ever fanboy, because one, the way that they portray their roles, the way that they act, the way that they are able to express emotions, delivery is so good and so impactful for both James Spader and Nathan Fillion. Because again, that's why I think personally before the Infinity War parts 1 and 2, I'm gonna say they're parts 1 and 2 because I don't feel like saying Infinity War and then Endgame. It's essentially, part 1 and part 2, in my opinion. But it's still, it flows pretty well. Is Age of Ultron. Because the way that, James Spader acts as Ultron was so good. And the fact that he essentially is Ultron is this rogue AI who essentially is destined to be okay, yeah, no, humanity is shit, and we need to remove them. They're the main reason why this exists, why we have this issue. But it's the fact that they essentially bring up this aspect of it where it's he brings the human element into a mechanical body, but still maintains that mechanical, that mechanic version of him. And the way, because of that dynamic and the way that he does that is just, it's it's amazing because of the fact that it's he's able to show that charisma as, as someone I can like his human side, but still, see him as a bad guy. Because, in the end, after looking at everything throughout the internet, he sees oh, the main issue is humans. And that was that. And again, you see it throughout the whole entire thing. You'll see that he does, he has that influence of the human aspect in it. There's one scene that I like.
I kind of understand. I get it. I do. I think Ultron kind of just I don't know. I just think the way they kind of handle everything in Age of Ultron, even though it is objectively a better movie than the first Avengers, I just still found it to be a little disappointing.
I mean, I'm not gonna say that like, oh, this is like 500
And
times better.
I think part of that is because I'm a huge fan of the comic Ultron, where he's like super fucking crazy, crazy, but super cold and fucking.
Oh yeah, like he's essentially like a heartless machine type deal, but But again, like that's understandable. That's a very valid point because again, the dynamics of Ultron, in the cinematic universe is different from the comic universe. And honestly, 100%. If you have that as a basis, I agree. Like if you were expecting comic Ultron, you would be disappointed, and that makes sense. But if you have not read the comics or not not looked into the comics as much as I have, when you see the fact of the way that they kind of portray Ultron in this, you see the way that they that it's expressed in a unique system where it works because one, he is a living AI. He is essentially a robotic brain, and he has the understanding of like what he needs to do, but he still does it in a procedural way. Like so he does he does have those human elements as well as those procedural mechanical, actions that justify his means. And so I will always tout it is the better of the two. And if anyone says that they're wrong, like that I'm wrong, that's your opinion, not mine. You deal with it the way that you deal with it. And if people say that it's bad because it was essentially a quote unquote advertisement, they just completely fucking missed the point of the movie. Because even though it does hint to the fact of going to, there's going to be some interactions with Wakanda, that was just a small little thing that literally had nothing to do with anything else other than, that's the source of the vibranium. Great. I'm glad that we figured that out early on. I don't see any other type of fucking advertisement for that. Because I don't understand why people would say that's an advertisement. It's like, oh yeah, they say what the source is. Okay, cool. So if I said, oh, this energy output is coming from a sphere, like some type of cube structure in the middle of the Antarctic Circle, in the Arctic Circle. Oh, that's a fucking ad for Thor. No, it's not. That's just a thing that just happened. Like, okay, cool. We know where its source was. That's it. Man, we really need to change this to Rantcast. Holy shit. Anyway, after our 500 different tangents, we get back onto the main thing.
That's just kind of how podcasts are, though.
That's true. That's true.
How it is. But I don't know. I don't know. I mean, as far as the Game Awards goes, I mean, I don't know. There wasn't really anything I was excited for this year, to be honest. Like Guardians of the Galaxy, was shown off at I think earlier this year at E3 or whatever it was. It was the first time I'd ever seen it, and I was like, "What the fuck?" And then I ended up buying it.
So I think overall, it was kind of okay, I could see that. The one thing that I am happy about is that there's always going to be never a real contest for best audio design when it comes to Forza games. Because every time that I see a Forza game be released, they always win that. And I'm just like, yes, it better fucking have won that. I am
very glad that Final Fantasy XIV won best ongoing game.
Oh, honestly, if they didn't, I would actually be kind of disappointed in what the video.
Destiny wasn't even nominated.
No, it's understandable. It's 100% understandable because again, the reason why it was nominated beforehand was because of the fact that Destiny at that time was actually going through a very good season. So, and it also was coming still running off of the high of Forsaken. So the fact that, that high is over, they are doing the DCV shit, I wouldn't be surprised that it wouldn't win that.
Well, it wasn't nominated at all.
I know. I voted for it, but I was like, nah, it isn't going to win. It ain't going to get close.
I
think...
How could you vote for something that wasn't nominated?
No, there was a... Wait, so what did I vote for on Destiny 2? I thought it was nominated. Or was it because it was like in the round 1 or so? Oh, no, it was during like the community voting.
Oh, okay.
That's what it was.
No.
I was like, wait.
It wasn't even nominated.
Yeah, because... so when you said nominated, I meant like, wait, wasn't up for the votes? Because I know like the way that they had it was like there was a 3-round system where it's like the first round was you choose the specific games that you want, and then the second is going to be a more refined version, and the third one's going to be like the final nomination list.
Yeah.
And so it's like obviously, being the Destiny fanboy that I am, I did vote for all of them except for I think audio. Because for some reason they were in there. I don't know why.
I think like Destiny has some of the best shooter audio I've ever heard, to be honest.
It's true. But here's the thing. It was going up against Forza Horizon 5, and I think that's significantly superior.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm just saying that like for a shooter, it has some of the best audio design.
Oh, agreed, yes. It beats P shooters from COD. The ones that are supposed to be shooting 5.56, 7.62, as well as 50 cal shots. All sound like fucking pea shooters.
Yeah, that's always kind of been a weird thing, hasn't it?
Yeah, but I think this is the best thing out of everything. Let me see if I can find this, because I actually saw this. Let me see here. Where is it? Where is it? Ah, there was one where it had to do with Halo Infinite, and it was like for I forgot what it was. Let me see it. Hold on. Like, cause they won it.
Halo Infinite is going to be eligible next year for the Game Awards, but I don't know if I want it to be awarded anything because of like how shit they've been treating the multiplayer.
I think the issue is that Halo Infinite could have been amazing if they added more variety of selection and the ability to choose
for the actual multiplayer.
Well, it's less that. It's the fact that like the game came out in the state it is based off of a purely challenge XP system, which doesn't make sense to me. As to how they thought that would be a good thing when they saw what happened with Apex Legends.
Also Fortnite. Because Fortnite was the original one that brought out the Battle Pass that had it where it was based off of challenges.
Yeah, but I don't know, it's just insane to me that they see how these games fucked up with that, and they make the same mistake, and it's like, how do you think that you are going to pull this off when companies with games that are far bigger than yours couldn't?
See, the one thing that, and this is something that, again, personally, I have my gripes about, is the fact that there is no actual ranking system. Like, there's no leveling system. Like,
yeah, the closer we have is the actual rank in ranks, but it confuses me that there's no basic leveling system too.
But my main issue is the basic leveling system. Because the thing is that even though, you play in Modern Warfare, the OG.
It's basically Modern Warfare, but with no actual, like, base leveling.
But the one thing is that the difference between Modern Warfare and this is the fact that there was a level system. Even though it ends off at 50 and you just, it resets every season, like whatever, it's still the fact that you hit max level, technically. And
It is a weird day for me to think when Call of Duty has a better leveling system than Halo.
What the fuck has this world gone to?
What the fuck? Fact that Halo has no leveling system.
Honestly.
Because it's not a leveling system, it's a battle pass system.
It's a battle pass system. Like hell, they have a leveling system in fucking Master Chief Collection! It pisses me off!
I don't know, man. It's fucking weird.
Like, I hate it. Why didn't... Like, honestly, if they brought the leveling system from Master Chief Collection, applied it here, they will have no issues. I would have been fine. Fuck it. I guess I'll just play 4 different objective-based things that I don't care about. At least I'll feel like I'm making progress.
And then there's the fact that the game, for some godforsaken reason, they thought it would be a good idea to release the game in a state where the playlists only let you do quick play or rank or big team battle, and you can't pick the game mode you want.
And there's
now,
no
I don't know if this next part is true, but supposedly it was so 3 for 3 could determine which playlists are the most popular. But let's be real fucking honest. How are you going to determine that if I can't even get to play the playlist in the first point?
Honestly, though, like, legit, I will not be surprised if 314 doesn't do a decision change soon. By the time it hits February, Halo Infinite's multiplayer is going to die down significantly. Because as much as I enjoyed the multiplayer, I don't want to fucking play Capture the Flag 3 out of 5 fucking games.
See, I don't have a problem with Capture the Flag. What I have a problem with is when I get one flag a million times in a row.
No, exactly. It's literally the fact that it's like
Capture the Flag is not the problem, right? I'll play Capture the Flag 5 times in a row if it's forced. I don't want to play one flag. Stop giving me this shitty variant of Capture the Flag.
See, the main issue is that how much do you want to bet that 90% of the player base will remove that as an option if they had that as a community option? If you can select on what you play, like what we had.
Is so shitty.
It is. It's crap.
It's such a crap game mode.
The only reason why it did well was because in Reach it was much more fun. I'm just saying, it's just the facts. Because one flag system was normally done on big maps. And those big maps had a lot of vehicles in them. And those vehicles were fun as fuck to play with. As well as there was a lot of open areas where you can use a sniper rifle, beam rifle, Spartan laser, rockets. You can use a tank. Meanwhile, in Infinite, everything is within a 100-meter radius. Which means no vehicles. And no actual fucking fun.
Halo Infinite's map design doesn't make sense to me.
There's a lot of things. Honestly, I think the one thing is, and I really think that this is something that maybe, just a small thought. Maybe, just maybe, when the actual full campaign has, released already. I mean, it has released, early this week. I think Wednesday, if I remember correctly.
Yep.
I wonder why they did it on Wednesday. Because normally they do.
Yeah, that was weird. I wonder if they were trying to avoid the coinciding with Bungie's 30th.
I mean,
let's be real. If it was because of that, I respect it. I can understand that. I'm good with that. And, if that was, the whole thing, and they said, oh, yeah, we released...
I wonder if it's because they wanted to have it take place after it so that they could, have both Halo Infinite coming out and the Bungie anniversary with the Halo items happening to help kind of put Halo out there.
I mean, that would have been a very good marketing plan, and also a really good way of kind of showing respect to the original creators at the same time.
I mean, I feel like it's the most logical thing, right?
I mean, it's the best. It's the best way to advertise the game, as well as still, like, not detract from what Bungie is doing. Because with the 30th anniversary, you have you have the Forerunner coming in, you have the BR coming in, you have all these references to Halo, and you would kind of be doing a disservice if you also release the campaign on that same day, because essentially it's just like, oh yeah, we don't care about your 30th anniversary. Here's Halo. Like, in my opinion, that would have been considered a spitting on the person that essentially gave you your job, that gave you what you have, in my opinion.
Yeah,
because without Bungie, there would have never been a 343, because 343 was created so that Bungie could leave. And they could give the what's it called, the development rights over to Xbox under 343. Because I do not believe that they would have entrusted that IP to any other company, to any other development company under their under Microsoft's care.
True.
I mean, I wouldn't have. the fact that when we heard that Bungie's leaving and they're essentially like giving up the Halo IP to 343, there was so much apprehension beyond 343. Like, it was insane, because it was just like, yo, who are these people? It's like, yeah, we get it. Like, that was like something Bungie created, but who are they? What is this company? And then they came out with the storyline of Halo 4, and people were like, okay, I can get behind this.
Yeah, people were mostly okay with Halo 4 storyline. They'll give all your some weird things about that story.
You mean the boss fight being the
like
QuickTime event?
I mean, there's that. There's also just some things that are kind of like a little wonky.
That's true. Agreed. I mean, there was a bunch of issues with it, but I think the fact of they still went with a good feel of it. So that's kind of why a lot I feel like if they were to do anything about it, especially if, because of the fucking disaster that Halo 5 was, I don't think they really want to have any more bad karma on their ass.
Yeah.
But I think the one thing is that, really looking into it, is that I think Halo Infinite, even though it's in a really shit state right now, is a proof of point that the story of Halo will still continue. And I think that is a very good sign, because, rather than have us reminisce about
I mean, Infinite is supposed to kind of be the game we stick with for the next 10 years, so it's going to get the updates to it.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, it's.
I'm not quite sure how to feel about that, because I'm already dealing with that with Destiny.
Well, I mean, the thing is that I'm not surprised by that at all, because when Destiny became this kind of like, oh yeah, now that we're independent, we're not going to be making another game as a continuation for Destiny. This is just going to be what Destiny will be now. This will be Destiny 2, and we're going to introduce new stuff into it and move on from there. I think, we all kind of expected, like, all right, this is essentially going to be going down the same path that World of Warcraft did. That, Final Fantasy 14 has been doing. And the fact that now that live service model, I mean, again, even though it was something that was, very prevalent for a long time, many people will say that it was really brought into the limelight when Bungie did it, because it was so unique to what they used to do. Like, they had it where it was just, okay, here's one game that has not added anything into it.
I think it's less so that, Bungie, did it for... I think it's less so about that, and more so the fact that, we had already had MMOs doing this for years. It wasn't until Bungie kind of started doing it themselves that like people realized that they could do what MMOs were doing.
Well, I think it was 100%. I think it was the fact that, they brought it into the limelight of, oh, yes, we know that MMOs do this, but we can utilize and take advantage of this system within FPSs, which overall, when you really look at it comparatively to the actual MMO aspect of it, has a significantly higher valuation in terms of of potential. Because even though MMOs are very good, like, well, I'm not going to deny that, FPSs have become more mainstream at a much faster rate than MMOs have been. Because even though, again, what's it called? World of Warcraft has been there since 2005. Call of Duty, as soon as COD 4 came out, everyone knew about it, and it became part of the mainstay of it. Just like Doom, because of the fact that it was like, it revolutionized it. It brought in what FPS was. It became like, it became well known, and so that whole exposure of that, and Bungie saying like, "Hey, this is my tab. This is not like this is just a start," and that's kind of what caused everything else. And I think, that's where the live service model came into play. And then Fortnite came in and said, hey, I understand that, that these guys are doing a live service model. We'll do a live service model, but here's the thing. We're doing this for free. Like, you get the game for free. Here's a battle pass version of it. That is like only one thing, and then you can play. And so then they revolutionized, the whole live service model by adding in the battle pass. And you kind of see like everything just kind of growing off from there and just becoming a huge chain reaction. And then, in the end, you see it and it's just like, oh, this is what everyone's doing now. Everyone's just doing a live service model because guess what? It's the easiest way to make a shit ton of money off of major IPs without having them to divert huge, have to rely on a huge, team. Because all you really need to do is just make the foundation. That's the hardest part of the live service, and then just add.
It really grew into a monster, didn't it?
Well, the thing is that was the monster that was fed by the community, by the actual consumer base. Because here's the thing: it started off with yearly expansions, something that has been prevalent. I mean, people had some issues with it, and again, technically, funny enough that we're going into this full circle. Started off with Activision Blizzard. At the time, Activision with Call of Duty, they're the ones that started the DLC stuff. In the terms of like the mainstay and all that. So, because before Call of Duty came around and popularized the idea, and Activision popularized the idea of DLC, all games came with everything, and there was nothing else. But because of the internet, they're like, hey, you know what? We can add some more shit later on. So why don't we do that? Activision was like, sure, let's make them spend $15 on it though. For what? Maps that don't mean shit. Yeah, I'm talking to you, Modern Warfare 2. I'm talking to you. I fucking love you, but goddamn it, I fucking hated your bullshit. I ain't gonna pay another $60 for... No, sorry, half of the value of the game for like, what, I think 4 maps? It was like 4...
Ubisoft still does this.
Huh?
Ubisoft still does that, where it's like the season pass thing.
Well, I mean, everyone does it now. The what's it called? The only ones that you don't see are the ones that have that are story driven, and even then, they will have those DLCs with a an all encompassing purchase that you can take.
Unless you're Sekiro.
Unless you're Sekiro, yes.
Sekiro was one of the few times that From Software didn't do DLC.
Yeah, interestingly enough.
And I am excited for Elden Ring.
I mean, that is considered, funny enough, in the Video Game Awards, it won for the most anticipated game.
Well, yeah, because it's like, well, think about it, right? This is going to be such a phenomenon because it's not just a From Software Miyazaki game. It's a From Software Miyazaki and George R.R. Martin game.
Oh yeah.
We're talking about George R.R. Martin, a man who is meticulous in writing background and lore.
Who's still alive?
Somehow.
Because the one thing is like when you say like, you know, background lore and just like the meticulous detail, first thing that comes to mind is like, to be fair, not George R.R. Martin, but Tolkien and then Tom Clancy. I mean, think about it this way.
But the point is that like this is a man who's never worked on a game before, as far as I know, and
he is not.
He is famous for the Song of Ice and Fire books, and for him to now be for him to have been working with a video game studio to work on the lore and background in Elden Ring has me excited to read what the story is in that game.
Yeah.
Because this isn't like Halo 5, where they just put the comic book writer in with like no help from game writers. This is literally the man working together with one of the best game directors in the industry. I am fucking excited for Elden Ring.
I wouldn't be surprised. I don't know. I think the one thing is that when it does come to this next year of games, because again, this also, you know, just saying this right now, this is going to be the last HZRDCast of the year. And I feel like, you know, to wrap that up is in terms of gaming itself, it has been very, very interesting in seeing the dynamics that have changed. Because, you know, in regards to not only just like looking at kind of everything that has happened from the beginning of this year, with a lot of the games that came out, seeing that, you know, some of them have fallen from grace, and then others that have kind of like had that renewed interest. It says a lot, you know? Like the way, like, you know, and also it's weird to look when you see it. It's just like there's not much like, because out of all the games that we've played, how many games have you played that are unique?
Define unique. What do you mean? I mean, I guess
like
we played
individual games themselves. Like it could be like Final Fantasy 14 and then Final Fantasy 15. Those are two separate games, even though they're under the same IP.
Oh, you're talking about like different franchises, different IPs. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I played a lot of different games this year. I'm going through Ghost of Tsushima right now. I played Guardians of the Galaxy. I played. What did I just beat? I beat Demon Souls on PS5.
Yeah, and I'm looking at like the games that I've like gone through. Like, you know, we got, and it's interesting because like only, if I remember correctly, I think only 2 of them came out this year, if I remember correctly, and one of them was like the final DLC.
Are you talking about games this year?
Well, I'm not, like, particularly for me, it's just like games this year I've only played like 2. I bet you've played more than me in terms of like more recent games.
And there's Metroid Dread that I played. There's the Skyward Sword remaster, which I haven't beaten just yet. But I will at some point. I bought the Pokemon game, the Pokemon remake.
I think, looking at kind of everything, it was a good year. It was a good year, in my opinion.
Yeah, overall it was a good year.
Yeah. I'm like looking into it, like, I think earlier this year? No, was it earlier this year? Or was it last year? I forget one, but I remember us playing through Borderlands 3.
Oh, we finished that earlier this year.
Yeah, we finished that earlier this year. I know that. And then we have
the new game in that franchise. Not necessarily that franchise, but kind of in that universe.
Yeah.
Coming out next year.
Yep.
Tiny Tina's, was it Wonderland?
I think so, yeah. And then for the actual, what's it called? Within particularly looking in Destiny. Oh my god.
Destiny, there was quite a bit of stuff that happened this year in Destiny.
Oh yes. New raid. We had
revisited raid, I would say.
Technically correct, but the way that they have like refined it and then brought it into it could technically be considered a new raid, so to speak.
I would disagree because most of it is the same.
I mean, yeah, most of it is the same, although there's some mechanics that are different, which is nice. I'm very happy about that. But, they reintroduced the raid. We had more story development on that end. Not only that, we also have... We had some disasters of games. Outriders.
Oh. I wouldn't say Outriders was a disaster. I would just say that it was...
In the beginning, it had some bugs that it needed to fix. But it did get those fixed.
Oh my god, thank god they fixed a lot of them. I don't know if all of them are fixed, but it looks like the game is doing a much better now.
Oh, I wouldn't be surprised about that. And then, it's weird to think that a year ago, almost to the day, actually, when I think about it, that Cyberpunk came out.
It is weird to think that Cyberpunk was a year ago.
Yeah. It's so weird to think.
Cyberpunk is just kind of a weird thing where it's just like, why? It genuinely pisses me off that the game released in the state that it did.
Yeah, it was a bad way to start off. But I think, with how everything was, there was also... I still remember us playing the what's it called? The Youngblood together.
Yeah, Youngblood.
Oh.
Youngblood is a mess because they tried to put RPG elements in a game that didn't need RPG elements.
And also the cringy dialogue too, but that that's neither here or there on that one. But God, that was a very interesting time for that. But God, it is so weird to think about it,
Yeah.
Like the amount of games that came out, the amount that we played, the amount what we did. And it goes to show that I really need to actually
Oh, Miles Morales was another game I beat.
Oh, right, that did come out this year. I thought it came out last year.
I'm pretty sure it was last year, but I beat it this year.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, because
and I'm excited for the new Horizon game, Forbidden West.
You know, the interesting part is I legitimately thought that was an add-on. Like, I thought that was... I don't know
They
why.
had an add-on already for it.
Yeah, I don't know why I thought it was an add-on, but I was like, yo, that would be dope as fuck. Like, that would be really cool. Like, regardless, I was just, like, very, like interested in it because of the fact, like, oh, you know, Horizon Zero Dawn did really well, so I wouldn't be surprised if this did very well. But, you know, I'm happy about that, you know, seeing how that'll go through. But, you know, in the end of that, it has been a good year. It does come to it. I feel like there was something else that I wanted to talk about. Oh, right!
Something that I just... Okay, yeah.
I almost forgot what I wanted to also talk about. Let's end off this one. Like, it's like, let's have another topic of just how shitty companies can be.
What?
Toei Animations.
Oh, Toei.
Yep. So if you guys don't know, the whole scenario of Toei Animations, there is a YouTuber, and I honestly would prefer to call him as a businessman because, again, this is his job, and he essentially has made his own brand name out of that, like his own kind of business from it. Named Totally Not Mark. I think it's Totally Not Mark or something Mark. Let me actually bring it up here. But, you know, while I bring up the actual name, essentially the one thing is that he is someone who reviews animes. And it's, you know, a lot of them like One Piece, Dragon Ball Z, Bleach, you know, all the major ones. And so a lot of the times when he does like go through that, he hasn't had that many issues or anything of that sort. However, the one thing is that this man named... I still love the fact that it's not coming up with his name. What the fuck? Let me see here. Why can't I bring his name up? Oh, yeah.
Anyway, so the point is that this guy is getting 150 copyright strikes.
All in one day.
Toei.
And the best thing is about it, and is that it's super hypocritical, is because earlier in the year, Toei Animations actually reached out to him about doing a sponsorship for advertising a new project that they're doing. Now, whether or not, like, I don't know if that, again, this is going to be, because it's a sizable company, I wouldn't be surprised that this was kind of like unforeseen, hypocrisy, because, you know, the PR department and the legal department are two separate different things. Like, they're, you know, when it does come to that, because of huge companies, I would not be surprised that, you know, these are two separate things altogether. Like, they have nothing to do with each other unless it's very fucking important. And so I wouldn't be surprised, again, this is like accidental hypocrisy. But still the fact of, you know, they went through and they did that. Now, he's going through the dispute process and, like, you know, saying, like, these are all done in fair use, which they have been. But the more impressive thing is that we just actually recently got a new update on that, where a lot of them have been the actual takedowns of those videos have been maintained. Now, he has been able to get a few of those videos up. He got about 19 videos of the 150, which, you know, is a sizable amount, but compared to the actual, like, total amount, is almost nothing compared to it. And again, that, you know, his work is based off of that stuff. And, you know, in his video, he goes over the fact it's like they're going after him, who literally does everything under fair use, and he makes sure that everything is in fair use. And all the other people who have like kind of addressed this, who've been reporting on this, have also stated it's like, yes, no, literally everything that he's doing is in fair use. Like this is, applies to fair use.
So here's my problem with the argument. While I agree that it should probably be fair use, the problem is that fair use does not guarantee protection. I think a lot of people are very naive in thinking that it does. And fair use is a defense to use. It is not something that you can use as a, oh guys, I'm doing this under fair use so you can't attack me. This is after you've been attacked, you can use fair use. It is also not a guarantee that like the law will see it that way. Like just because you may see it or just because you think you've guaranteed it is fair use does not mean it actually is. And that's why whenever people use fair use, I'm like, that's a complicated system. That's a very complicated thing that you are probably not likely to win.
Now, here's the kicker about it, though. The bigger kicker is that when they actually looked into the whole fair use clause, that doesn't apply in Japan. They don't have anything where it states that, if someone is like utilizing it, like, making it so it's like personalized to their, like they have utilized that information and modify it to the point where it's it's distinguishable from the original content is fair use. They don't have that. That does not exist.
Yeah, of course they don't.
Now, again, like it's still very unfortunate. Like it is unfortunate to hear that.
I think people need to stop using basing like every law in like their own country as like being the same in every other one's. That's another problem. Because the law in one country does not protect you from a different thing in the country if that same law does not exist.
But the main thing is though is that laws are always going to be subjective. But a lot of the times, if something has been declared fair use, and has been determined as fair use, it has, they have been, they have reinstated those. Now, again, a lot of the time, because of and again, I think this is, something that YouTube really needs to fix. The process that they have for that is really wonky, because he even goes over it where essentially it's like, the claimant, like the one who puts on that, okay, no, this is my stuff. The person who posts it can just they'll say, hey, no, this is something that I've created. Instead of going to a third party, it goes back to the person who claimed it. And then they have about a month to either say, no, this is still my stuff, or just let it expire, and then, the video gets reinstated. And if it does,
it do be like that.
It's just back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And it's just the fact that, you literally are saying that a person who's claiming the video gets that dispute and decides if it's true or not.
Yep.
And there's a lot and there's so many issues that have actually come up from this. Because here's the one thing, is that this guy has been hit by Toei Animations for stuff that can be argued under fair use within the United States, at least. But then you see on YouTube that their videos of legitimately them just ripping the entire movie out and having it be uploaded with no issues. And it's not like, these are major companies doing this. This isn't an official YouTube channel of X company. These are just random people just uploading it, ripping it off, and showing it at high quality HD, and they don't get hit for it. And so it's just really interesting when you see something where it's someone who is who has been a very huge fan, who has essentially been working on it, making sure everything was all right, everything was all set, and does their due diligence on their end, and make sure that they're giving the credit where credit is due. And they essentially are getting like roasted for that. They're saying like, okay, no, you can't do that. Meanwhile, you have other people who are doing like essentially what people would consider like blatant like conversion, which is essentially a legal version of say, this is mine now. Like I upload this, it's essentially theft, and not gain away with it. Now, the interesting part is, and I think this is a very like important thing that's happening, is that he like while he goes through this and like he's getting that support, he's essentially asking like to not support anything that Toei Animations like is post or addresses, and it's gotten a lot of traction from a lot of major players. Like, to give you an idea, it's like, Some Ordinary Gamers has looked at it. Joey, the anime man, has looked at it. You even have PewDiePie address this as well. Like, he actually got, like, a video of that addressed to it.
I should probably state that, like, I am on the side of the YouTuber. I'm bringing these arguments up because I feel like someone needs to play devil's advocate.
Oh, of course. No, it's 100% understandable for that. I mean, like, if you don't play devil's advocate, then essentially you're just going to be in a fucking echo chamber, and I fucking hate that shit. So it's good that you are bringing these arguments up because, again, that's how it happens. You always need to see both sides of the story. And so I'm just kind of addressing it on their end, like a way that they say it. Because again, we haven't really received any real information from Toei Animation for the reason behind this. So as of right now, we only have this one perspective. And again, looking into other information about it, it sees that like they do have some legal basis. Because even though, Totally Not Mark is making stuff that is considered fair use within the US, in Japan, they do have a right to essentially say, to take down anything that infringes on their work, whether it is considered fair use in another country or not. And so It's one of those things where it gets really, really complicated, really fucking quick. And so, and you're seeing like a lot of people who are going through this, like, that like major people are just like, yeah, no, I'm done with Toei Animations. Like, I'm not doing anything with them. Like, I've stopped that. And to give you an idea, like, if you don't know what Toei Animations like provides, they do One Piece and Dragon Ball. Those are the major ones that they have. They do other ones, but those are the major ones. And so recently they have a new movie coming out, and Totally Not Mark has been essentially saying, like, boycott it. Don't support it. Don't do anything with it.
I don't think that's really going to work, though.
It isn't. Because as much as I really wish this would work...
Is it a Dragon Ball movie or a One Piece movie?
Dragon Ball movie, if I remember correctly.
So,
the one thing is, and this is a huge thing about it, is that when it does come to the actual, like, the system itself, a lot of what Toei Animation, like, the way that they work, is that they don't really care for the external, like, anything outside of Japan. Now, again, I don't know if this is, like, their culture or whatever the habits are. And again, this is coming from an outsider.
I think this is something that people need to acknowledge. When it comes to Japanese companies, most of the time, unless they're Square Enix, they genuinely do not care about what's happening outside of their country. Mm-hmm. And that is because they generally only look towards sales in Japan. If something is not working out in Japan, it's gone.
Yep.
That is why a lot of anime don't get second seasons. That's why a lot of manga that are popular in the US but are not popular in Japan do not get continued. Mm-hmm. And it is because of this culture that encourages doing well in Japan but not caring about other places.
Yeah, and I think and so the way that now he has a new tactic. And he's also like he has these he has actually created, like, within his video, his like latest update is that he actually had, made an address towards Toei Animation and also the author of One Piece in Japanese too, to make it, much more accessible to them. Now, whether or not they do respond or anything of that sort, we don't know.
I don't think they will.
I doubt it, because, they're a huge company. They don't give a shit. But the one thing is that I think a lot of people would want to make hope is that it's not the company that sees it. It's the fan base. It's the people who actually, like, within Japan that see this. Because if they see essentially, like, and they're, again, this is hoping. Whether or not it works or not is going to be up to, it's going to be decided by time. I hope it does, but, not to be a Debbie Downer, it may not, because again, he's someone in Europe. They're in Japan. I doubt that the algorithm will allow that video even to show up anywhere close to there. But
it really depends, because I've gotten videos that are from Japan that I'm like, why is this in my fucking recommended?
Have you been watching some animated, anime trailers? Because
No.
that happens. That happens to me sometimes.
I've gotten like things from Japan where I'm like, why am I what? It's just randomly recommended. So I wouldn't be surprised if it does somehow reach at least someone.
True, but I'm real, honestly, I'm wishing him the best of luck for this. I really want to see him, to succeed in this endeavor. Whether or not he does or not, we can't say. There's a chance that Toei Animation may win out on this. But overall, I think everyone can agree in this situation that YouTube needs to get, to address this somehow. Because the fact
I don't think YouTube will, though, because the problem is that YouTube has had this issue. This issue has existed in YouTube for too long, to the point where I've lost faith in YouTube's ability to do anything.
That's super true. No, but here's the thing. If it affects, so they won't give a shit about the people who make stuff on it, but they will give a shit about companies who literally go against what they address. Because, they're the whole thing about free speech, and then in China they're like, oh yeah, no, we don't do this here, and here, because they're so fucking they care more about money. And
basically.
And they're kind of hoping, people are hoping that money is going to be, if their reputation takes a nosedive from this, Toei Animation does something about it. Because we kind of everyone already expects that this is, the way that this, claiming system works is fucking dog shit. And it shouldn't go, this needs to be revamped. But it's still the fact of, overall, it is just terrible. And it's bad when PewDiePie reviews something on it, If he brings it up, it's a big thing, since he is essentially considered one of the faces of it, even though YouTube doesn't want to really admit it.
YouTube doesn't want to admit that any of their creators are the face of it.
Yeah.
The problem with YouTube is that they would rather have celebrities on it than the people who actually made their platform get big.
Sometimes they'll have Markiplier is yeah, you only say that once and then be done with it.
Okay, but the problem is that they've already proven that they don't care because of the fact that their fucking YouTube Rewind last year literally was focused on Will Smith and a bunch of other people.
Wait, was it really last year? I don't remember.
I think it was last year.
I thought it was 3 years ago.
I'm pretty sure it was last year.
That's weird. Hold on, let me actually look up this. Hold on. YouTube Rewind. I think it actually is the most disliked video. Was it Everyone Controls Rewind or what?
I don't know. I'm pretty sure it was last year, though.
Da, da, da.
I don't even know if they're doing the Rewind this year. Or maybe it was 2019, because I don't know if 2020 actually had a Rewind.
They did not. They did not have a...
It might have been 2019, then.
I'm thinking, yeah, 2019.
Because I remember they did that.
No, it was 2018, because 2019, they addressed it. Because they said, 2018, we made something you didn't like. For Rewind, let's see what you did like. So they went back to the original setup for it.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, because everyone hated it. Which is funny to think about, you know? But I think the interesting part is that even though they don't want to address like YouTube does not give a shit about their creator. The funny thing is that it's worse for Twitch. Because here's the thing, if you guys didn't hear, Ludwig actually had a contract with Twitch. And when that contract was up, YouTube was like, yo, here's our deal. Why don't you come over to us? And this is after Twitch was like, hey, we can renew your deal for XYZ. And then it's like, here's this deal. And then Ludwig was like, hey, this is what YouTube has told me. And he's just like, all right, good luck with the endeavor. Go fuck yourself. And, not saying that professionally, but it was there. It was shown. And a lot of people were commenting on the fact that it's like, yeah, no, that sounds exactly like how Twitch was when it came to creators.
Yeah, Twitch. I don't understand Twitch, man. Twitch is just fucking garbage.
It sucks too, because it's like I would want to stream on YouTube, but the thing is that I don't really like. There's a lot of things in there that I don't mind, but it's also switching over to a new thing altogether is kind of like, ugh. This is gonna be a big move. But I think the one thing is, and this is a good thing, is that if I were to actually do it, since I'm not exclusively signed for it, I could also stream on YouTube. It's just gonna have to be different things. So
yeah, because of the whole affiliate thing, yeah.
Mm-hmm. But it is how it is. In the end, all that we saw in this year is games good, content creations platforms bad. But it sucks. But I think in reality, the world is going to be full of evils, and unfortunately, we just have to choose the lesser of the two, and hopefully make a difference where it works in our favor.
Yeah.
But with that being said, let's move on to a different thing.
I think. So I talked a little bit about Final Fantasy. I really do think now. Well, I don't know about now because I don't know how new character creation is going right now for people.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like now is probably one of the perfect times to enter Final Fantasy, even if it's just to try the trial. And the reason why I say that is because you don't just have the base game anymore. As Final Fantasy, you have the end of the Hydaelyn Zodiac saga. So you have, you don't have to wait. Obviously, from here on out, it's going to be new story content. That's going to be a different saga. But for those who want to try out the first saga without having to worry about it, it's all there. Because you have A Realm Reborn, Heavensward, Stormblood, Shadowbringers, and Endwalker. And it is an amazing journey, and the fact that we finally have like the end of that saga is crazy.
I mean, hey, if you want to get into it, go into it now. And I feel like as of right now, if Poke was, in the same room as me, he would be glaring at me. It's like, yes, you should. Now,
I mean, yeah, you should.
You should. Now, I think one thing is that, with the fact that how everything has been, I think the really cool thing is that, we are getting like a new Unreal Engine, which, if you haven't seen, there's a video on Unreal Engine's channel that shows them doing the Matrix Awakens. That is on the apologies, on the Series X, and it is gorgeous. It looks so good, and it looks so nice. I can't wait to see what will happen with that, because that will look amazing.
Gonna be wild.
It's gonna be a while. Yeah, I'm not expecting anything anytime soon, but
No, I'm saying it's gonna be wild.
Oh, well, I mean, it is gonna be wild, but it's also gonna be a while.
Yeah.
Because the one thing is that when it does come to it, it's, we don't know exactly how long it will be before we really see the full potential of it. Because even though, again, we're on to a wonderful start, it is just the start. I would not be surprised if it gets even more insane. Especially with the fact that, we did get some new releases like Star Wars Eclipse, that, that cinematic reveal trailer. We had, Destiny 2's Witch Queen game trailer. Like, I can't say it because I fucking love it. Because
It's the first time we've had a live action trailer in so long.
Yeah, and you know what the funny thing is that people are thinking, and they may be right, because I was looking at the similarities. The female is the same person that is on the original live action box art, like on the original art, as I think the Warlock.
Huh.
People are saying that it is, and like if you look at it, I can see the similarities. I can really see the similarities of that.
I mean, it makes sense if it is.
Yeah, no, it does. But I think the good thing is that, we have that, that set up, which is great. And then also, not only that, we also are getting Alan Wake 2. I'm so happy about that.
I mean, it makes sense why they did the remaster of Alan Wake.
Yeah. I like we all, not only that, we also got a cinematic trailer for Elden Ring. We also got a Wonder Woman game. We do have
is there a Wonder Woman game? I didn't really look at everything from the game.
Yeah, there's a Wonder Woman reveal.
Who's making it?
I do not know. Hold on, let me actually get this up. Give me a second. Let me see here. Why Wonder Woman is the perfect for Shadow of Mordor. Oh no, that's something completely different. Monolith.
Monolith? Are they the one who did Shadow of Mordor?
Let me just double check here. Yes, they did.
So that makes sense why that first article came up.
Yep. Yeah, so it is a single-player open-world action game. Will introduce an original story set in the DC universe, which will allow players to become Diana of the Themyscira. I'm so sorry that I fucking butchered that shit. In the fight,
you said it basically the way it's supposed to.
Really? That's funny.
Basically, there's a little bit of issue with the pronunciation, but it's basically that.
Again, I need to hear it phonetically, then I can easily say it.
I think they say it only 2 times in the movie.
Ugh, that would suck. Yeah, so it will be a third-person open-world action game and will also feature the Nemesis system that is within the Middle-earth games. Honestly, I am very happy and I'm very excited about that because I think that is a wonderful system that I think Monolith excels at. Because, in my opinion, because that's what I think
it's
that...
not like anyone else can do it after they fucking trademarked it, they patented it.
Yeah, true. But it's still a very unique design, and I mean, granted,
I need to get around to playing Shadow of War. I still haven't. I played Shadow of Mordor, just not War.
Yeah, I get that. And so it's actually kind of interesting because it's this is kind of on the heels for that. Also, wait, what? Hold up.
What?
Halo Infinite is getting 4 new playlists on December 14th. Including
we knew
Slayer.
that they were bringing another playlist. I didn't know that they were bringing 3 other ones.
Halo Infinite multiplayer is getting 4 new playlists on December 14th. Slayer, Fiesta, Free For All, and Tac Slayer, also known as SWAT. Ooh, I am very happy, and this is coming from the community.
But are they actually going to be separate playlists, or are they going to be a thing where I have to play quick play to go to them?
So they said that what's it called?
I know it says playlist in the article. I don't trust them to actually mean actual playlist. You know?
Yeah, no. I think they may still have that as within the quick play playlist, but I'm not seeing anything. But this, let me see here. Ugh. Yeah, it's coming. A Social Slayer playlist wouldn't arrive until sometime in 2022. Motherfucker. Yeah, so it doesn't look like that they are doing that. At least having a separate playlist yet.
Well, you said a social playlist is in 2022. But the actual free for all Tac Slayer thing, you said that's on the 14th.
Yeah, but it doesn't say that there is it's going to be its individual thing.
So I guess we'll just have to wait and see, huh?
Yep.
14th is what, Tuesday?
Yep. 2 days after what will be a very, very fun night. Well, fun morning, technically. Actually, yeah, no, it would be in the afternoon for them. But anyway.
I don't quite understand that.
Okay, so to give you some background, and again, this is going to be going away from gaming entirely, with maybe one exception of the F1 game, but this is about the final race in Formula 1 for this season.
Oh, Formula 1, okay.
Mm-hmm. And the reason why this is such an important race is because this is the first race in 40 years where the point advantage does not exist, meaning that the number 1 and number 2 are tied, with the only advantage going to number 1 because of just 1 win. Because he has 1 win more than second place. And so essentially is whoever finishes first will win. That's essentially how it goes down to. And the one thing is that the way that everyone sees it is that these two drivers, Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton, they're from two different teams. One's from AMG Petronas, which is Lewis Hamilton. He's the one that drives for them. Max Verstappen drives for Red Bull Honda. Now, if you follow them, actively, like I have, this is a very drama filled season. Now, a lot of people have kind of started to get into it because of Netflix's series of Drive to Survive, which essentially was going over the last three seasons before this one of F1, starting from 2018. And they did confirm that they're going to be doing a season likely on 2021 as well. So they essentially have been... It has been a very, very close-knit race the entire time. And this has never been seen in a long time, especially within this version of F1, because the way that they have it sectioned off is that the FIA, which is the huge governing body of the race organization, puts in specific rules to have specific types of engines and specific, guidelines that the teams have to meet when they're making their vehicle, their F1 car. And so, starting 2022, they're going to be doing a new design and a new model of the engine and the powertrain. So, effectively, this is the final year for the current mode and the current design of the F1 cars, which first came into play in 2014. Now, from 2014 all the way until now, AMG Petronas, which is the most known as Mercedes, Team Mercedes, has dominated that entirely. There has never been a time where they won with less than a 50-point difference between the teams. Like, if you look into the actual standings over time, you'll see that there's 100+ points between the two. In this case, between Red Bull and Mercedes, there's less than 44 points. And the reason why I'm saying that there's less than 44 points is because that's how many points if you get the best case scenario, which is you get position 1, position 2, and also the fastest lap time. And so the fact that it's within that margin means that there's still a chance for Red Bull to win in the constructors, which is a separate thing between the drivers. Again, it's long story short, it's such a because the amount of information within the whole F1 system itself is much longer than what it normally would be, because within F1 there's two types of championships, so to speak. There's one for the individual drivers, and there's one for the teams, also known as the constructors. And so the constructors championships is essentially the best way to kind of address it is that who is able to make the best car out of the field. And so what happens is that if your car places in the top 10 positions of the 20 races, of the 20 cars on the field, you will earn at least 1 point. Now the points are stacked. The higher, the closer you are to first place, the more points you earn. And so all of those points gets added together and goes towards also the constructor, as well as being credited to that individual driver. And so the way it says is okay, which are the best performing cars within the field? And that's essentially what the constructors is based off of. Now the drivers' championship, which is what a lot more people actually will focus on, is who is the best driver in the field. Now, the best driver is essentially utilizing their car to the best of their abilities to win. Now, there is no level playing field at all within F1. meaning that the performance of one team can be drastically different from another. And
Okay.
and they could be on even playing ground as well. Red Bull has been playing have essentially been playing second fiddle to AMG ever since 2014 because they switched over. Before, Red Bull was the dominant player. And so with them being this close, people are kind of arguing that it's essentially that both cars are considered even. Now, granted, they each have their own strengths. Like, if you have a Mercedes and a Red Bull do a drag race down a strip, the Mercedes will win. But if you have them going through twists and turns, the Red Bull will win. And so it's actually very difficult to really kind of like speculate on which is the better car because, again, they're both essentially considered the same in, overall. But the reason why that really doesn't matter is because the two drivers that are fighting, Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen, have been considered literally drivers on a different league altogether. Like, to give you an idea, in a lot of the races that they will have, they will be between, like, the difference between the two would be probably less than 1 second, which doesn't sound like a lot, but within F1, it's a considerable distance. Between second and third would be at least 20 seconds. And that happens only between if those two are battling for first position. They will literally run each other to the point where they're going to push their cars to the limit because both of them have been considered on an entirely level, like a different level of playing. They're world champions who look at that and it's just like these people whoever wins, they're deserving of it.
Nice.
And I think the one thing is that in the last race, which was back on the 7th, not the 7th, my apologies, the 5th, to give you an idea of how insane these drivers are, Max Verstappen was at the point was doing his qualifying to get into he was in second place. However, on his final lap out, everyone was just watching in friggin' awe and just sheer shock because on his lap he had the fastest time for the first part and the second part, and he was on pace to become first with 0.3 of a second ahead of the original pole, which would have been Lewis Hamilton at that time.
Uh-huh.
And everyone was watching. Like, you can see during in interviews, you'll see them just look over at the screens because everyone's always watching the qualifiers just to kind of see what's happening. And they're just seeing this Max Verstappen, who is 24. He's younger than me. This guy is ripping essentially a $2 million car at 150 miles an hour, so close to the barriers that it literally is just this guy just does not care. He literally is just he wants to win. He's just all right, I'm gonna get this. I'm gonna get first, and I do not care. And the worst part is, and the most heartbreaking part is that I think the second to last corner, he nicks his rear wheel, which isn't that much of a big deal. However, he's going at 150 miles an hour plus at this point. And so that just ruins the back axle, and he crashes out. And everyone was oh no! Because that was going to be because when people looked at it, it's if he maintained that pace, he would have not only gotten the pole position, but he would have qualified with the fastest lap ever recorded on that track. Now, granted, this was the inaugural race of that track, but it's still the fact that he was just like the first, like he will qualify with the fastest time on it.
Damn.
And like the race itself, like that race was insane, because there's two different types of races. Two different types of tracks. There are regular tracks, which essentially is like, somebody created their own track, just like, the Speedway in New Hampshire, in Indianapolis, and the one in Texas, which is also known as the Circuit of the Americas. And then there's something called street tracks. And a street track is essentially what it is. It is a track that is created utilizing the streets of the host city.
Uh-huh.
And so the main difference between the street tracks and the regular tracks is that the regular tracks are fairly wide, meaning that they have a lot of space to move around. And so you can do like fairly, safe overtakes at very high speeds and not have any issue. Street tracks, however, are much more narrow because, again, those are already well-established like streets, meaning that the most space that they will get is the amount that street, like the amount of lanes that they have in that street. That's it. And so it's very narrow. And so it's like when it comes to street tracks, the higher you are on the qualification, the better chance that you will have of winning or at least getting to a higher position. Because a lot of the times, if you are if you are at first or second, you are likely going to stay on the podium, which is going to be the top 3 spots.
Huh.
But oh my god, it went for 50 laps. There was so many accidents that happened because, again, narrow track. So a lot of like collisions were going on. A lot of people were, spinning each other out. But the fight between Hamilton and Verstappen was insane. And so, overall, it was a battle that literally no one else wanted to take a break off of. Until there was one incident that happened that costed a time penalty. And so what a time penalty is that it's essentially going to be when you finish, how much time you had it took to go around the lap or to go through the race. They'll add 5 seconds onto it. And so, and a lot of the times what will happen is that those time penalties, those small time penalties, would be because a driver that was instructed to give a position back or that it was something minor. And so, again, there was a lot of drama behind this because Max, had to give the position back. He gave the position back and then took it back again, normal because he did give it and then he just took it back because in the end, Hamilton wasn't able to solidify on that. And so he gets a 5-second time penalty, which is again, at that point between the two, it was essentially like an instant loss for Verstappen. He was second because the gap between them was, like I said before, less than a second between them. So at that point, he didn't really care for it. And so he was told like, okay, you gotta slow down. Like they didn't accept that as a spot. And again, people are going to 100% contest this over and over again. Like there's still arguments and debates about this going on and I think this will be going on for the rest of like eternity of F1 is that Hamilton, either he never received the information or he wasn't able to process it that quickly, which I feel like, again, it's the former, because like, you're driving like 200 plus mile an hour vehicles and turn on a dime with G's at like Mach Jesus. You need good reaction times. You need that, to be able to react like that, or you're screwed. And he just smashed right back in behind Verstappen. And so like he drives off because, again, like if he didn't, the way that the impact was, he was actually going to go right into a wall. And that would have retired him from the race. And that would have given the advantage over to Hamilton, because Verstappen was in the lead at that time within the championship. And so, fast forward to the end of the race, they're still investigating what happened. And for some reason, they gave Verstappen an additional 10-second penalty. And so this does happen if it is an investigation of an event. They will give additional time penalties after the race is over. But the thing is that it didn't matter at that point. Because the difference between second and third, and this was before the time penalties were even placed, was over 23 seconds. So, to give you an idea, you literally, like, if Verstappen drove by you, you can watch a 20-second video, look up, and then third place will go by. And so this is going to be that was a draw, like a huge contested controversial race. But because of that race, it brings it down to where there's no guarantee for either racer, for either driver. It is literally where it's like the best driver will win. And to give you an idea, the last time this happened was back in the 80s. And not only that, every single race, like every season after that, the last driver, like the last race did not matter who won. Because it was always a one-sided victory well in advance. Like, for example, because of the way that the points are stacked, there's been points where the winner of the Constructors and the winner of the Drivers' Championship was addressed 3 races before the final race.
Interesting.
Yeah, and so with this is going to be like the most intense race that everyone's gonna watch. It's likely going to be the most viewed race that anyone's gonna watch, because it's gotten to the point where essentially there is no real decider other than just a victory default. There's no placement requirement, meaning that like, oh, Verstappen needs to get first and Hamilton needs to get like 7th to win the Drivers' Championship. There's none of that. It is essentially who is the person who is going to get to the line first, who is going to hit that the checkered flag first, and it is going to be amazing. Now, granted, that is going to be early in the morning, so I would need to wake up at like 7 a.m. to watch it.
Nice.
Now, again, like if you're not a racing fan, it's 100% understandable if like literally anything of this went over your head or like you just don't care for it.
I mean, I understood it. It's just that I'm not into the whole racing thing, and I don't think I ever truly will be.
No, yeah, I
But
get that.
mean, I might look at a replay of it to see what it was like, I guess.
One thing that you also would want to, like, if you ever have the time, watch Drive to Survive. Because even though it's, again, it is based around F1, like just the racing, they go into more in-depth about, like, the politics behind it, the drama behind it, why it's, like, such a very cutthroat sport. Even though no one in the barely anybody in the US has ever heard of it until recently. Because even though this is a very, very barely known sport in motorsports here, because you got NASCAR is much popular here than F1. Outside of the US, F1 is the reigning, everyone has watched it. It's a global event. And to give you an idea of how recently the popularity has surged, early in, I think, if I remember correctly, I think it was November or October, they had a race over in Texas, funny enough, at the Circuit of Americas. And they had the highest viewer count, in person, spectators within the U.S. of over 400,000 people coming to watch this race.
Nice.
And I'm glad that it is, because again, as someone who's been watching for a while, it's always nice to kind of see more people getting into it, because F1 is not just about racing. It's essentially about taking technology to another level and taking aerodynamics and science, as well as, a lot of different plays that you have to make, because a lot of the times certain drivers can get booted because they're not performing well, or they may find somebody who has a better backing. And, Drive to Survive kind of highlights that a lot when you see it, when you look at certain teams. So, just to end off on that, is going to be a very, very fun time for me. And if you ever want to look at the highlights, they always show them the day after, or even a few hours after. So it should be up. All you need to do is just look up F1, and it should be there.
Okay.
And it'd be the Saudi Arabia Grand Prix. That was the latest one. The one that's coming tomorrow is going to be the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. But yeah, so that's that whole thing of me just gushing over F1. Yeah, racing games are fun. But it's a niche market. But anyway, I think with that, is there anything else that you would want to talk about? Because again, we did go for a little bit.
No, not really.
All right. Well, with that,
because the only thing I could really go is trying to convince people to try out 14, but
you've already have dealt with my dumbass so much.
I really think that you should try it, Toxic.
I will. I just have a few other things I need to work on first before I can open up the time for it.
But if anything, I will likely do it next year. At the latest, February. I'll try it out. But with that being said, thank you guys for watching. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed. Like I said before, this is going to be the last podcast of the year. So if you do not see this until then, hopefully you have a wonderful Christmas, Hanukkah, I think Kwanzaa as well, and a wonderful New Year. And we'll be back in 2022, possibly January. I don't know. It's likely going to be later down the line, but hey, But until then, thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you guys next time. Take care.
Bye.